of this, and a lot of dominoes fall in two different parts of football now that he is coming back. I think it's an awesome decision. Look, he's still going to make money, so it wasn't like that was the determining factor anymore of, well, I have to do this, and if I'm not ready, just because this is where I'm going to make the most money, then he'll still make the most money in the NFL, but he only has 20 starts, and, you know, most of the guys that do well in the NFL have more starts than that when they go into it. So he feels like he's not ready. Plus now he has the financial cushion of probably $5 million or so a year at Oregon. So he can come back, and then Dylan Raiola can develop like Dante Moore decided to do after he was the starting quarterback or would have been at UCLA. He came and sat behind Dylan Gabriel. So, Dan Lanning's system apparently attracts those kind of guys, so they're kind of winning at all ends when it comes to quarterback at Oregon.
Well, what's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good day, and shout out to the chat and everybody watching and listening. I think this is great news for the Ducks, obviously. I think it's a smart decision by Dante Moore to improve his game, and I know he said in making his announcement that he's all about being the most prepared that he can be, and so I think you see how young he is, the amount of experience he does have, but how much better and more polished he might be with another year under his belt in Eugene, and you understand where he's coming from. And yes, there is the piece that's now in play that wasn't in play for a lot of quarterbacks like him back in the day, and that is, oh yeah, I can still be a millionaire and stay in college. Now, not to the extent of what he would be in the NFL just yet, because as it was pointed out, I believe in an ESPN article, last year Travis Hunter got a little over $46 million guaranteed dollars. So Dante Moore, just inflation slightly, is getting $50 million guaranteed by being the number 1 or number 2 pick in this year's draft. So he's not getting as much money as he could, but go and improve your stock, and that's a year away from you, and you get another year of college to enjoy just as a student athlete and as the quarterback of the Ducks. And we see how much college means to some guys. They're trying to stick around for 7 and 8 years. So
absolutely.
If you're Dante Moore, why not stick around one more year, make like $5-6 million, try to get back to the playoff, win the Big Ten, do all those things, and then go and be pretty much right in the same place you probably would have been. With this news, congratulations to Fernando Mendoza. You are a Las Vegas Raider. I think you probably were anyways, but you never know with Las Vegas and their management. Maybe they watched that game and they saw something differently than we all did with the quarterback play. But it's been pointed out by anybody and everybody. His weaknesses were on full display against Indiana, and you saw that he's a young quarterback with a lot of areas where he can still improve, so he'll do that this year, and it's great news for Dan Lanning and everybody who's got any skin in the game when it comes to Dante Moore's decision.
Well, and let's not fool ourselves. His last performance was not good at all. Not that that should completely affect if you were the number 1 pick and you had a bad game in that game with Indiana. It was not a good way to go out. That doesn't mean if he was like, hey, you are the number 1 pick no matter what, then he maybe makes a different decision.
But I do think he used that to inform his decision, because Indiana's got a lot of NFL players on that team. And I hate to break it to everybody who thinks that your big conference team is chock full of NFL guys, but that's the 1%. So most college teams are not, even if you play a tough schedule, are not chock full of just a lot of NFL guys. But in the game he played against the team this year, actually the 2 games he played this year that Oregon lost were against the team that has the most NFL guys this year, which is amazingly enough Indiana. Because they and I don't know about first round draft picks, but they're going to have probably 12 draft picks throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, there's only so many 0-1 Miamis and that kind of team.
But so they have the most NFL guys. So if he's looking at it going like, all right, if I'm going to lose to this team twice, I'm going to put that in my assessment of things. I haven't really started that many games. Let me make sure I'm the best that I can be going out. Plus, it means I don't have to be a Jet for at least 1 more year.
Yeah, you're probably going to be still dealing with the same teams at the top because it's let's put it Raiders, Browns, Jets, and you just start there. But yeah, I mean, by the time he comes out next year, the Raiders should have their quarterback. I don't know about the Jets, the Browns. I don't know either, but he is, I think, smart in making this decision. What's the rush at this point? And with college football being the way that it is nowadays. So yeah, go get better. And if you are what you say you are, which is somebody who likes to be as prepared as you can possibly be for whatever challenge you're about to take on, then I do think another year in college football serves him better than just going straight into the deep end of the NFL with a lot of flaws still in his game. So I think it makes tons of sense. And I think this is where the money aspect is actually good for college football, because sure, Dylan Raiola would pop a rating for Oregon next year, but Dante Moore will certainly pop a rating. And now you get a better version, most likely, of Dante Moore leading one of your big name brands next year in the Big Ten. So I think that's great for the game. I don't like, obviously, the 6th, 7th years, but this is not anywhere in the ballpark of that kind of a deal. So yeah, come back for one more year and then go off to the NFL. And I think for Dylan Raiola, he had to know that there was some possibility of this. And if he's smart, if his representatives are smart, and if Oregon was smart, they talked through this. And they said, hey, Dante hasn't made his decision yet. And based on the fact that he announced he's staying, I would think there were some conversations that they had to have an idea that that was a strong possibility, and this wasn't just a slam dunk he was leaving. So I would hope and I would think that Oregon talked through this with Raiola, and so he's content and just sitting back for a year and being the guy in case they need to break glass. But I don't think it's a bad thing for him either, because he went from highly ranked recruit to just go be a star at Nebraska. And he clearly wasn't up for the task right away.
Neither were they.
Yeah. I think he's in a much better situation now. And so he'll be able to develop a little bit. And I think for Dylan Raiola's long-term dreams and his overall game, that's probably a really good thing for Dylan Raiola, is to sit there for a year with the Ducks, be behind Dante Moore, compete with him, get better, and then grab your opportunity when it comes, if it comes next year, or if you do have to wait an entire season. But I think he'll be better off for it versus just rolling into Oregon, starts, and then goes to the NFL kind of a thing. This will make him a better player in my mind.
Well, we just saw what Trinidad Chambliss did. He from Ferris State went to Ole Miss, didn't know if he was going to be the guy, and almost if he was another 2 or 3 games in the later Heisman vote would have been a part of that. But yeah, maybe it's good for him to sit down. He was pushed into a situation where a program wasn't ready. It seemed like they were, but no, and was running for his life and eventually got hurt. So Dante Moore coming back, what it means for Dylan Raiola, it apparently means that he'll remain in Eugene. It wouldn't surprise me, though. He has moved around throughout his entire life when it comes to high school to college football with commitments, etc. If he was to get in the portal, would that surprise you?
Who, Dylan Raiola?
Yeah, if he was to change his mind and get in the portal.
Well, given his history that you just laid out, no, absolutely not. It'd be as surprising as TJ Finley trying to get another year of eligibility. That's how surprising it would be. So, no, it wouldn't be surprising at all. That doesn't sound like this situation, because just like I said, I think that they had to have talked through this.
Yeah.
And you don't make a commitment knowing that there's a strong chance that you won't be the starter next year. So if he was, I've got to start or bust, well, then Oregon's not the job for you. You can go to Tennessee and go start there right away, or somewhere along those lines. Miami, you can go do that. Clearly, he's okay with it, and we'll see. Maybe Miami now calls. Maybe they're in his DMs right now. Maybe somebody else is. I don't know. But I think if he does sit around in Eugene for a year, it won't hurt him in any way, shape, or form, and could only make him better. But what does this do to the quarterback class? So, because I haven't looked, I just pulled up a mock, but I hadn't had a chance to look at it. I mean, Mendoza's obviously on top, but who's
so Ty Simpson now is the second-rated quarterback, and depending on what happens with the courts and his decision, Trinidad Chambliss by most would be the third if he were to go in, but that would be a guy who's probably drafted in the second round or later. There's probably 2 high-round picks at quarterback.
There are probably 2 names that are quarterbacks that right now maybe people are sleeping on them or we don't think of, that will get into the first round just because of the position they play.
Yeah, and once you get into, look, the Steelers draft something like 26th or something like that, and they very clearly are going to need a quarterback, because even if Aaron Rodgers does surprise everybody and come back, you can't just kind of keep playing this game, but they may have to sign a free agent and stopgap it for a year if there's not somebody there. But, I don't know. They just don't seem to be an organization to me that would just be like, oh, well, he's the next guy on the board.
Right.
They kind of draft who they like all the time, and that's why they're always in the playoffs in spite of what people think, about how they're successful. Their baseline is playoffs, and I think that it's just not going to be a good year. Now, what it does for next year's quarterback class, it's unbelievable. When you think about, you've got Sam Leavitt, and I'm not even listing in order, Lenora Sellers, Dante Moore, Arch Manning, and I'm leaving somebody else out there, but all those is 5 guys. I tweeted earlier. I should just look at my own profile, but that's kind of stupid to do most of the time. But yeah, I think for sure you're going to have a great quarterback class next year. Brendan Sorsby is going to be up there. So you've got 5 guys that are going to be in the first 2 rounds next year, probably, if not all in the first round after another year in school. And so if you're a team that's going to need a quarterback, it's probably going to be next year. But if you're, and where Ty Simpson's ranked, who knows? He's a first rounder, but where?
Let's get to his story.
Yeah.
So Chris Lowe did the story on Ty Simpson that he heard from teams, Tennessee, Miami, and Ole Miss, offering $4 million. The Hurricanes upped it to $6.5 million, and Ty Simpson's going to turn pro. He did not want to be the guy that people thought was going to grab the bag and leave, and that Alabama blood in him. Now, that doesn't mean things can't change, and he, would like to have a chance. But this right here, he was sitting out there, so NFL for Ty Simpson, and where would he be in the first round?
Well, I think he's now the number 2 quarterback pretty clearly with Dante Moore going back to school. So, yeah, he's the number 2 guy up now. As far as where that would fall, I mean, it's anybody's guess where teams are going to pick. There's a lot of other good players like Ruben Bain and Jordan Tyson and Arvell Reese, and there's a lot of other guys that I don't think there's going to be a mad scramble for quarterbacks, especially now, but he could very well be a first rounder. I don't know where he was in kind of the mocks prior to Dante Moore news today. Round. He was still a first rounder.
Yeah. Lower first round, like 18 to 25.
And then add 50% to that because quarterbacks always usually rise.
So he'll be fine as far as the money goes. I mean, yeah, just to turn down a guaranteed $6 million another year in college, and then especially for a team that might very well go win the national title here in the next few days, and at minimum is as a contender every year to be in the playoff. I think that's awfully enticing, but I do wonder, and I haven't seen if he's talked much about it, but I think back to last week and the interview that was done with Quinn Ewers where he talked about how he could have gone and made like $6 million in the transfer portal. So if that was like 3 years ago at this point, maybe Quinn Ewers would be worth like $7.5 million now at this stage. But no, he was getting offered big money, and he simply said that he turned it down because he didn't want to ruin the relationship with Texas. He didn't want to go be a guy that was the Texas quarterback, which was his childhood dream. But when you look at him at the NFL, he's like Quinn Ewers, Indiana. He wants to be Quinn Ewers, Texas. He wants to be a Texas Longhorn. And so maybe that's part of this with Ty Simpson as well. He don't want to be Alabama/LSU. He wants to be an Alabama boy through and through. And maybe that played into this as well. It would make a lot of sense if it did. And I appreciate that and I respect that because that's something that's always sort of not bothered me, but as somebody who can go and roam in the gray area quite a bit, I do like things sort of like that, very black and white. So the guys who are listing off after 4 years at one school, the one school they played at the very end is their Monday Night Football name. That always just irks me. So I appreciate Quinn Ewers making that choice, and now Ty Simpson for basically doing the same.
If TJ Finley ever gets to the NFL, and that story in a minute, that'll be an introduction. Everybody would just remember me as the guy who took all this money and went to Miami or Tennessee for his last year. But I was a captain. I put my hand and footprints in the cement at Denny Chimes. I would have lost everything I built at Alabama. That's from Ty Simpson, and a breath of fresh air when you think about it. So with all the money that was offered to him.
Was that from today or last night?
Yeah, that was from the report, the story from today. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I've been running around all day. I hadn't had a chance to see that.
That was Chris Lowe that came out this morning.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad that he said that. So yeah, I was dead on with that he wants to be an Alabama boy, and I totally get that and respect that. So good on Ty Simpson, and he will be the number 2 quarterback taken now, and we'll see where that lands him in the draft. But certainly the Dante Moore news was good for him to some degree.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is.
Unless he ends up with the New York Jets or something, and then Dante kind of screwed him.
And look, if he can get up to the second pick, that wouldn't be shocking considering right now that there are, so few quarterbacks, the quarterback desperate teams. But here's the thing, that if you really don't want to play for the Jets and you're a guy who they might question, they don't know what they're doing. So they might not get to you anyway. But Ty Simpson to the Jets at number 2, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. If you are, 15th to 25th, before the combine and before all that gets started and before the quarterback, withdrawals start to hit these teams and they go crazy, you can get to 2 really easy. There have been far worse players than Ty Simpson who shot up the boards.
But I don't want to get into NFL draft talk too much because I know we got other stuff, but I mean, that's also how you end up being the New York Jets picking a quarterback every 2 years, because you go, oh, well, Ty Simpson and we're at number 2. We need a quarterback. No, you'll get Arvell freaking Reese. That's what you need to do. You need to build like those, get the best talent at the top. I don't think Ty Simpson's that, but he is the number 2 quarterback now. And yeah, you can't put it past anybody to reach for a QB. So being the next man up, it's definitely a strong possibility he could go higher than anticipated. So good for him and good luck to him.
So Jordan Seaton yesterday, there was other news, but this was a big deal with Jordan Seaton, Colorado offensive lineman, entering the portal. Here is someone pulled out a tweet from Jordan Seaton from back, and I think was that May. He said, "Sports crazy now. Can't even build a true brotherhood anymore. Too much I and me." Well, the responses, some of them are from back in the spring that said, hey, yeah, thank you for being loyal to Colorado. And then some, of course, now with the news that he's in the portal. But Jordan Seaton, and did I see this, Garrett, that he is already, is there a trip to LSU, to Baton Rouge, set up for Jordan Seaton? I thought I saw that about an hour ago.
I don't know if there is or not. I haven't seen visits. I looked when you put that on the rundown today, and nothing's been confirmed yet for him on visits. But again, if he wants to take 70 of them, he could. He absolutely could.
Given that guys are apparently getting money just to book trips.
Yeah. Well, we heard that.
Tens, if not $100,000 just to visit a
or
place.
to not visit if you've already gone somewhere else.
Yeah, I would take about 17 visits, and that's not even counting. Like, you take money from all these schools, even if you have no intention of going there, and then go get your big payday with the school that you actually sign with. That's what's in front of him and his people and whoever represents him. So that's a great place to be. But this is, a blow for Colorado in that this was a big-time, highly heralded recruit, a huge splash, a huge get, an anchor, best player on your team, certainly from an NFL standpoint. He's a guy that's going to be very highly drafted when the time comes. So I don't think there's any spinning that. I don't think it's Colorado is a sinking ship now. I think that they've already been aggressive in the portal, and they've seemingly attacked this maybe somewhat anticipated subtraction. So we've already had some additions to try to replace him, although it remains to be seen how effective that will be. So I don't think this came as a shock to them based on the moves that have happened. And at the same time, it can't be spun as anything other than a disappointment that this didn't work out. I've seen a number of Colorado fans, and some of them are, let's face it, Deion sycophants, and so he can do no wrong, basically. But that is also every fan base when they lose a guy. Well, he wasn't a fit for Brendan Marion's offense. And maybe he wasn't. Maybe there is that aspect of this as well. I think he's a guy that's just playing the market and probably wanting to go win a championship somewhere. And I think it's fair to say that's not going to happen at Colorado next season. So it's a loss, but I think Colorado's reaction has been quick, and I think they put a positive spin on it as best you can, and they'll move on, and he'll move on and be all the richer for it. But, yeah, it's a disappointing finish for a guy who was a crown jewel for your recruiting here in the last couple of years.
So here are some other players that have hit the portal or are making decisions to stay in college or go to the NFL.
There's one other thing about him. You did see the part where – and I didn't follow through on this, so I usually don't like to just spread random things that I see, but I saw enough of it that I feel like it was true. So he basically got the Colorado graphics people
to make him. Okay. I don't know if he got them to do a video or they had done a video and he just took the footage he already had
that they thought would be for like a return announcement. Yeah. And he took it and then made it his exit announcement.
Yes.
So I saw some of the scuttlebutt on that, and I don't think that that's what Colorado was anticipating. So, if that was intentional and done that way, then yikes. That's not the coolest move to make if you're Jordan Seaton. But, you also don't know when a guy leaves how much is just ill will, and now you're painting him to be a bad guy. But I did see that enough going around that I was like, Yeah, that's true, and that's kind of scummy that you would do that. But he's a hell of a player. I don't know what's what on the other end of this. He's going to be a guy in the NFL sooner rather than later. So somebody is going to get a big time tackle, and I think that it would be fascinating if you could do like a Netflix documentary on here's this guy that jumps in the portal late at a premium position, highly ranked, and basically everybody in the country is going to want this guy. And what does that scramble look like? That would be pretty fascinating.
Some people have already not blown their budget, but have gotten some big name players already to use that money. It would be a good one of those come back and do that. By the way, there's no doubt Colorado's audio, visual, or whatever department, when they were shooting the Jordan Seaton video audio, they didn't do it knowing he was going to leave, because then they wouldn't have shot it. They wouldn't have been given permission.
Yeah, exactly. But it was the timetable on when it was all shot, to me, is I think what needs to be answered, to be like if he was nefarious about it, or if he was like, hey, you shot all this video, can I just use it anyway? Which again, I'd like to choose this as not nefarious, but yeah, he certainly did, because you watched that video and it's like it's a Valentine to Boulder in the background.
Yeah,
then he dubs over with his voice, but like, bye.
Yeah, he knows, and maybe a few others know. That might be something we look at that comes out a little bit more definitive. Oregon safety Dylan Tinneman is headed to the NFL. Now, remember, they picked up a couple of defensive backs yesterday. He is one headed out, along with Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq. He was great against Texas Tech. He was really good, very highly rated player, and both of them are headed to the NFL draft.
Yeah, I like both of these guys as early picks. I think Kenyon Sadiq probably end of the first round. Dylan Tinneman, same thing. I think end of the first round at tops. I mean, tight ends and safeties, I think there'll be one safety for sure drafted in the first round, and his name is Caleb Downs. And he might be very, very high on the list, especially, when you consider, and this is for everybody in the draft now that there's only two quarterbacks that you can make an argument for today, and maybe a third that sneaks in later into the first round. I think if you are an edge rusher or an offensive playmaker or anything like that, you've moved up the draft boards about 3 or 4 spots all the way around. So these are both really good players. And you know what? Oregon will probably not miss them one bit. They've already replaced Tinneman with Coy Parrish.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they've gotten in a tight end. I can't remember who, but yeah, they were all ready for all of this. So
Trinidad Chambliss has been asking for an extra year to play at Ole Miss, and I would, as selfishly, wish he could do it. I wish that they would say, oh, what the hell? We're going to lose this lawsuit eventually. But right now he's been denied an extra year. And yet, TJ Finley, look at the logos in the bottom left-hand corner. LSU and Auburn, Texas State. Help me out, guys. Also,
Tulane. Western Kentucky,
Western Kentucky, Georgia State, and now Incarnate Word. 7 different schools, and TJ Finley has committed to play there. And one of the I saw one of the notes was like, hey, dear NCAA, I'd love to play another year. I love the game. I love college football. Sign Trinity Chambliss. No, and then stamp TJ Finley going to his 7th program.
Yeah. Look, I don't – if you're going to give TJ Finley this year I can't imagine his reasons better than Trinidad Chambliss's. And that's fine. I'm not trying to dog on TJ Finley, although – we're all in agreement that this needs to
go ahead.
Stop.
He's a grown-ass man, Paul.
Yeah. But I mean, this is excessive at this point. And he didn't play for Georgia State at all because he got mixed up in a legal situation, which appears to be kind of a don't sell a car on Facebook Marketplace mistake. But, when does it stop? When does it stop? And then if you're going to arbitrarily just say, no, Ferris State didn't file for a medical red shirt on Trinidad Chambliss, so we're not going to grant him that extra year. Well, then why are the hairs? I don't understand the hair splitting.
That's why it's there. Yeah,
I don't understand the hairs.
It's like, can they not have a heart? Or probably not. Sometimes they do. Craig, your thoughts on TJ Finley?
I am somebody who would be very sympathetic if I didn't feel like he just has no grip on actual reality. I think in reading a story, I believe it was from a New Orleans newspaper, he's talking about how, like, throughout his journey, all the things that have happened. And he talks at one point about how this is what gives him the best opportunity to go to the NFL, and that he was, I mean, it's hard. You get confused. There's been so many stops, but the stop he had a couple years back when he got injured, he was certain that he was going to have a great year, and then he was going to come back and either have like a good shot at the NFL or would be in a position to where he could really ramp up his NFL stock and go have a great opportunity. But that didn't happen because, in part, the injury. And he talks a lot about his family, and now he's got, I believe, 3 kids. And I believe now at Incarnate Word, he'll be pretty far away from them. And he talks about how it's like a sacrifice he has to make to get what he needs to provide for his family the way that he wants to provide for them. And I can respect all that. That's what a father does. That makes a lot of sense. I just think the whole NFL part's completely delusional at this point, because I don't think the NFL is looking for guys who have played for 7 teams in 7 years. I don't think they care one bit about that. Not to mention that when you look at the path that he has taken, it's not all bad luck. I mean, you're at LSU, COVID year, okay. You transfer to Auburn. You start a little bit in 2022. You leave there after 2 years. You go to Texas State. You have your best year. And you go to Western Kentucky. You have an injury, and that's when he talked about how he thought like he was going to leapfrog him. But you're already on your 4th school, and you're talking about, like, if I have a really good year and put it together, I'm going to go to the NFL. Buddy, you've got 3 more schools I haven't even got to yet. There is no NFL, like, impending incident that's going to happen here where you're just going to go blow up this year and the NFL is going to come banging on your door. I think
if there was, they would have like 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. So like that part of it is the part that drives me insane, where I just feel like I'm listening to a guy that's kind of delusional about where he is and his stock. And again, I respect being a father, but dude, you're on your 7th school in 7 years and you're talking about how you're far away from your family for this NFL dream. That's not all that realistic right now. Like, sure, maybe you go pop off an Incarnate Word, but Cam Moore didn't go from Incarnate Word to the NFL. He went from Incarnate Word to then eventually got to Miami. He went upwards. You are going downwards.
He literally went northwest to Washington State. And
yes, excuse me. Yeah. He went to Wazoo and then to Miami, but he's still going on an upward trajectory. And I don't mean to like demean Incarnate Word here, but that's where Cam Ward started. This is where you're finishing, and it's your 7th stop. So I just think this is ludicrous. I think he is a guy who needs to move on from football, like become a coach or something. But I know a lot of guys, it's very tough to quit. It's very hard to say, this is my last game. But damn it, they do it because they're grown men, and that's eventually what they have to do because they have to be realistic about things. But in this era, I don't know how the hell he got a 7th year. The NCAA makes no sense whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, he has the injury at Western Kentucky, and then he goes to Tulane, and then he gets arrested there because he, according to him, bought a car on Facebook Marketplace, and that he should have checked because the car was stolen. Imagine that. So for a guy who at that point had like 5 years of college, you think you would have been educated enough to know that you need tags and paperwork and things like that when it comes to an automobile. So 5 years of college, and he's just buying this car blankly on Facebook Marketplace and then subsequently getting arrested for it. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay. But then he goes to Georgia State, and after a few games there, he quits.
Yep.
He quits because the system wasn't a fit for him any longer and his aspirations. And that's where I'm just like, come on, man. Like, this is total delusion at this point, and you're trying to squeeze it for every drop you can get because you know this is the best squeeze you're going to get when it comes to the game of football. So I understand that, but at the same time, this NFL talk and all of that, I don't know, man. The last 2 years, you've gotten arrested and booted off a team and then quit on a team, and now you're on another team, and that's going to impress NFL scouts? I don't think so, pal.
No, they will tear that apart. Now, if he can play, if he's got enough drip of talent, somebody will sign him, even if it's an undrafted free agent. But we've had and we've seen, and I've even seen former players or even those who are analysts go, what's going to happen when these young men who are getting money now in college, by the way, good for them, but what are they going to do when all of a sudden they can't play? And 90-something% of them will not play at the next level. That doesn't mean some of them aren't financially smart. I'm surely no one to be talking about examples of being smart with money, but you wonder, is it such unreal? It's a fantasy land that they can just keep bouncing around and get $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 or whatever it might be.
I mean, I don't care to drill down on this guy any further. I think the resume speaks for itself, and I have nothing personal against him. I just was reading this article, and I'm like, this is delusional. This is totally delusional. Somebody, a grown-up, please tell this fellow grown-up to grow up, basically. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure this is better than having to work at Jiffy Lube or at the Wall Street broker or whatever his plans are. I don't know what degree he has at this point.
He's a grad transfer, though, so he has a degree.
Okay, so that's great. So he
could go use it.
He could go use it somewhere. I'm not going to be go get a job guy, but I do think that is the next step for him. But yeah, I mean, again, I will say the last couple of years he has lost a spot at Tulane because of an arrest for buying a car and not doing your due diligence, and he admitted that it was a mistake. And again, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, although it's a pretty stupid mistake. And then you basically quit on the last team you were on because the system didn't fit. And it's just like, what are you talking about, dude? You should be grateful for an opportunity. So now you're at Incarnate Word, which has birthed some pretty good quarterbacks with old coaches like G.J. Kinney and Eric Morris. But I'm just kind of pissed at Incarnate Word for giving him the opportunity, honestly. Why did you even open the door here?
Well,
so we'll see what happens.
They got to win games, and they maybe that's the best option they have. And but yeah, you see sometimes where the NCAA might show that they have some emotions that make sense, and then they sometimes make these czar-like decisions that are like the Kremlin or
they're
the
very
IRS.
much like a drunk Kremlin.
Yeah.
Here's the point I was trying to. How much money are you even making at Incarnate Word now?
Yeah.
This isn't like Sam Levitt going to LSU or something. I guess they pay well.
I will find that out. I know somebody in the athletic department. I'll check on that.
But is it more than you would have made if you went and got a job with your degree?
Well,
that's what I wonder about.
What's the average? I don't know. It depends on what's his degree. Do you know?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying,
is he going to get a job that's $100,000 a year, $50,000 a year?
I'm just saying that I don't think you're going and living like the dream NIL scenario at Incarnate Word at this point. Yep. So the whole providing for your family thing, I hope they do get provided for, whatever that agreement looks like, and I hope that that all works out in the end. But yeah, I think this is the part of college football that really drives me insane right now.
That's why we brought it up too, because Trinidad Chambliss can't probably get an extra year among others, and he is now on 7.
Let me just say this. Western Kentucky's on that list as well with Tyson Helton, who is one of these guys who, if you're a quarterback with an arm and some mobility, he can plug you into that system and you'll throw for 4,000 yards. If you didn't work out there, Georgia State and UIW aren't going to help you any more than they did. It's just, you're at this point just recycling until you can't recycle anymore.
T.J. Finley later earned his degree from Auburn University, participated in the 2023 summer commencement ceremony. That's under his Wikipedia page, just looked it up. So he does have a degree. All right, a few more. Let's see here. Eli Holstein, Virginia. He's been around. He's now going to be a part of Virginia, was at Alabama, Pitt, and now the Cavaliers.
Yeah, and Bo Prabula. I can't say it.
Just say Bo.
Bo P.
The former Missouri quarterback.
Bo P. Is at Virginia too. So I would assume that this is probably a bit of a competition, although I lean towards Bo P.
LSU, 5-star, St. Longstreet. We knew he was leaving. He's looking for somewhere. He has, Garrett Ross and the Fighting Lane Kiffins are putting in a nice little depth chart at quarterback.
Well, they got the kid from Elon behind Sam Levitt, and they've got Hussein Longstreet as well. And I thought he was going to go somewhere because he thought he was ready to play, but he's also going to maybe go the Dylan Raiola route, which is fine. He could have done that at USC too, so I guess he just didn't want to play for Lincoln anymore and wanted to go play for Lane. Great. He's a very, very talented player, but we haven't seen him yet, and he'll develop for a year under Sam Levitt, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's a really great depth piece and a great young ad for Lane Kiffin. I mean, to go and get Sam Levitt and Longstreet and the young man whose name escapes me that they got initially, the small school guy. Do y'all know who I'm talking about here?
Elon, Lane and Clark.
Yes, okay, thank you, Lane and Clark. To have struck and hit with all three of those guys and all sort of having a separation to build your quarterback room over the last week, I think has been a really impressive job by Lane Kiffin and his staff. So you went from looking around like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction or Will Smith and the Empty House and Fresh Prince, the whole meme of like, where is everybody, to now you've got a nice room with depth and experience and potential and all of those things. So, yeah, you've got your quarterback of the now and your quarterback of the future, and I think you're really happy today if you're a Tigers fan.
All right, a couple of more, and there's always – but these a couple of pretty good names, including Justice Haynes, running back from Michigan. This guy's really good, and he now has entered the portal and has now made a commitment to play. This is a pretty good matchup for him with Georgia Tech. They love to pound the football, and that's where he will play next year.
Yep, and this is a fantastic ad for Georgia Tech. It's obviously a great scheme fit, although I don't know how much the offense is going to be different now that Buster Faulkner's gone. They still got the same head coach, and so they're still going to have that same, powerful run game first, go, not really go, but like pound you into the dirt effort. This is a great fit for him. I was surprised he didn't stay at Michigan. But I guess, he just didn't want to play for Kyle Whittingham or wanted something new, and now he's in the ATL, and this is a great fit, although we don't know who their quarterback's going to be yet either. They're one of those teams that's pretty good the last couple of years sitting out there trying to replace a quarterback who was really, really good.
This is another Haynes heading to Atlanta. They love their Haynes there with Haynes King, obviously, Jamal Haynes as well, and now you've got Justice Haynes, and there is a big changeover with Buster Faulkner leaving, that's for sure. So if he was there and you picked up Justice, he'd be like, whoa, buddy, this would be an even bigger splash. But I still think it's a significant pickup for the Yellow Jackets, and what a great year they had. Obviously disappointing playing in the greatest bowl game, but losing in brutal fashion, just a close loss to BYU. But that was a fun game with a big audience, and I think Georgia Tech's a really solid program, even though, yes, they have now had some subtractions this offseason. But, good pickup there, and we'll see what he's capable of doing and what kind of waves he can make in the ACC, because I think you anticipate that they're going to be in the mix.
Let's go to the Kennesaw State stuff, Brandon. Kennesaw State defensive end heads to Kansas State as they pick up another player, as they continue to retool their roster. And also wide receiver Christian Moss, who was represented by Darren Heitner, does get an extra year. They were saying he does not, but he does, and he now is eligible, and he will be able to go find himself a home under Darren Heitner's watch as his attorney.
How about the story of Kennesaw State, where they were one of the worst programs in all of college football a year ago and 2 years ago, and then this year, not only were they pretty good, everybody wants all their guys.
No, not yet.
Everybody wants their guys. They've got guys transferring to Kansas State, they've got guys transferring to Oregon, they've got guys transferring all over the place. And a couple years ago, you did not, like, if you were like Paul Catalina, defensive end, Kennesaw State, would have been Paul Catalina, substitute teacher, Waco, Texas. Like, that would have been the next thing you heard. But not the case now. They're getting, picked off or picked up all over the place when they get in the portal.
Well, they're getting better. Some of those schools that make the jump, and then they realize what they have to bring to the table to be competitive. So there are the stories. And, again, the wide receiver Moss will have an opportunity to play longer than he first thought. Hey, Brandon, do you have the Harold Perkins one, the LSU edge? This is back when he was a freshman. There were thoughts that he was good enough to come out. Harold Perkins at LSU, he was an All-American. He was phenomenal, and then was good his second year, and then disappeared. He didn't play much his third year. In fact, he played like in 4 or 5 games. He makes the announcement, LSU's Harold Perkins, that he will commit to enter the NFL draft.
And, Smokey, you know how I get mad when the Cowboys have drafted guys with injury histories. I will not be mad if they draft this guy with an injury history, provided they get a good defensive coaching staff in place, because he is a natural pass rusher, and he played better this year, obviously, because he had a better defensive coordinator in place there at LSU. But, yeah, I think Harold Perkins is going to be a good NFL player if he stays healthy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of talent, so getting him in the right fit with the right scheme And I think he's got a lot of upside, but certainly tough for a guy like that to live up to the full billing that he had even a couple of years ago as like a Jadeveon Clowney-esque type of game-changing sort of player. Just one of those total once-in-a-life, Myles Garrett, those types of just complete disruptors that are one-man wrecking machines. He had a lot of hype, and it was tough to live up to that. But, I think his talents will carry over nicely to the NFL, and with the right coaching like anybody else, he will be a force to be reckoned with. But certainly, I mean, Garrett, do you have any thoughts really one way or the other on Harold Perkins as an LSU fan yourself?
I'm really interested to see how he transitions into the NFL, because I think he never really got to see his full potential. I think once he really got injured, you never really could see it, and they weren't able to bring really the chemistry or just find the right fit for him in general. I think there's a lot out there, but to me, if he fell in the draft, I really wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't think he's going to be like a Micah Parsons per se.
There was a guy that and he was a freshman named Mike at the gym who just could not stop talking about him. Then his second year, he was good. He just wasn't as great, because he was his first year. But he ended up with 3 picks this year, had 4 sacks, a bunch of TFL, 55 tackles. But it was last year that he was hurt, where his numbers dropped quite a bit. But yeah, if he could have come out his freshman year, there would have been some that picked him apart. But he would have been a no doubt first-round pick because of his ability to disrupt the passing game. So there we are with Harold Perkins. I think that pretty much wraps up most of what we have when it comes to what's going on in the portal. And Dan Wetzel will join us today at 4 o'clock. We'll have Zack Gelb today at 4:25. Here is something that
I have to pee so bad. I've been waiting for you to break for like 5 minutes.
We'll break so Paul can pee. You could just scoot out after because if I had to go. When we come back, a note about Charlie Baker on this Redshirt discussion, and Cole Kublik. Remember yesterday he went off on Auburn fans? He had a very legitimate and it made sense question yesterday about the 9 games when it comes to redshirting in college football. That's next. We appreciate your time. This is, hit the like button, 365 Sports. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. If you're sluggish, if you lack energy, you suffer from low sex drive and performance, maybe it's your testosterone level that has dropped. Petty Clinic offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check your T level, increase your energy, stamina, and also improve your sex drive and performance. If your testosterone is too low, Dr. Petty can put you in a program to help you increase your testosterone level. Also helps with weight management and nutrition needs. Time for you to be the man you want to be, need to be, and used to be. Tell them I sent you at PettyClinicLowT.com.
My go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf car batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
It's time to start something new at Allen Samuels. Drive in with huge savings on all of our Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. From the trail-conquering Jeep Grand Cherokee, towing in style with a Ram Heavy Duty, or cruising the city in a sporty and luxurious Ram 1500, we've got the perfect ride for you. Stop by Allen Samuels in Waco, where we make car buying easy.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Joint pain? How long do you got? I'm talking about my back, my elbow, and my shoulder. 24 years in the majors.
Roger the Rocket Clemens dominated the game, but even legends feel wear and tear.
I put my body through a lot for baseball. I didn't want more surgeries.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments use your body's natural healing properties to help restore joints without surgery. And the results?
Pain is gone. I'm back, thanks to QC Kinetics.
Schedule your free consultation today. Better starts here.
Probably go another 3 innings.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Got floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
So yesterday, as they've had this week, the AFC, which is the American Football Coaches Association, and Vanderbilt's Clark Lee, by the way, named the 2026 AFCA president. Craig Bull, formerly at North Dakota State and Wyoming, is the executive director. But the discussion about, well, let's make sure we up the ante on how many games you can play before you lose your red shirt. Remember, there was a time when it was 3, a time there was none. And then the discussion came up about, well, why not 9? And I'm sitting there, maybe I was just too preoccupied with the show, and I'm like, that doesn't look right. And then Cole Kublik, hey, instead of guys quitting on the team at the end of September, we should make sure that they can quit in early November. So don't quit in September where you have the rest of the year to kind of respond to it. Let's use these guys all the way up until November, and then they're not available, and then what does that do?
Or they don't use them the first part and then use them on the way out. They could do that as well. I mean, I don't think it's this absolute. I think that the coaches are under the belief that if they can play some of these guys 9 games and preserve a red shirt, that some of them will stay because now they've played and they have that. Now, that might be
play next year for somebody else after showing off for 9 games.
That might be naive, but I think that there's more levels to this. Yeah, some guys will quit in November. Some guys will still quit in September. It's all, it's all relative. But yeah, there is in no way a perfect solution for this until they collectively bargain 5 for 5. Until that happens, they're just going to have to keep trying to run end-around rules for this. I mean, heck, why if they want to do 5 for 5, why don't they just say 11 games? That way you could play in all 11 games and miss 1 and still have the red shirt. I don't know. I mean, 9 seems kind of arbitrary at that point.
Yeah, it just came from 3 to 9, where it used to be 0 to 3 or 4. But is anyone listening and paying attention about what might not work when they come up with some of these rules and regulations and laws or whatever? But apparently they are, but nobody's ever thinking it out.
Well,
to me, down the road,
everything's on a wish and a prayer of, well, I know this isn't legal, and I know that the politicians in my state don't think it'll pass and doesn't have enough support, and I know that it won't stand up to any potential lawsuits either because, again, it's not legal, but let's just throw it out there and see what happens. That's what it feels like they do every time. Like, we know this is probably going to get shot down immediately, and there's no legal ground whatsoever for this to work, and there's very little in the way of actual support that matters, but damn it, let's just try. There's a 1% chance. That's better than 0, right? And so you just kick the can down the road rather than doing the thing that's 100% guaranteed to fix it because there's just too much other that comes with that you don't want to have to deal with. I don't know the rationale or the reason and why this seems like some great answer to the problem at hand because, I don't get if you're going to play in 9 games, just gives you more time to redshirt, put tape on, or put stuff on tape and then go get a better opportunity elsewhere the moment you feel like it. I mean, the player freedom is something that was long overdue. I think the way it's been put by pretty much everybody, much like Wild West has been used now constantly by everybody, it's like the pendulum swung too far the other way, and I do think that's true. But you still need to have player freedom and everything. But I do feel as though, this just sets them up to be able to take even more advantage of their situation and leaves the schools in even more of a lurch potentially. So I'm with the whole idea of I don't want some number of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just 5 to play 5. That's it. Bam, done. And I've seen what about, because there's always what about guy, and what about injuries? So damn what? Like maybe if there's a special circumstance where
don't even give them
that. But I mean, I think that you have to discuss that piece of it because there might be some rare example that comes along where, but no, I'm with you. I'm like, don't even open the door to it if at all possible. I just don't know if there's any legal standing where you can say like, no matter what, unless you do the obvious choice. But if you just say it's 5 to play 5, like, yes, we're going to have guys playing their 5th year. We just talked about a dude playing his 7th year to 7th school. That wouldn't be allowed to happen.
No.
And so I think to clean this up and clear it up, then to make it as simple as possible. Yeah, forget 4 games and you redshirt, and it could be spread out, and it could be at the end or the beginning, or it could be every other week or whatever. Yeah, just you've got 5 years, and when 5 years runs out, you're done, and that's all there is to it. That's the simplest, most clean way to do this.
But if you collectively bargain this and everybody agrees to it, what you can say is you have 5 to play 5, and we will give you one medical redshirt year if you fall under these categories. So you could have a medical redshirt year if you had an injury that kept you out. But again, it's collectively bargained, and everybody knows that at most I'm going to have 6 years. But if I do have 6 years, it means I blew up my Achilles tendon or something. So you really wouldn't want that 6th year because no one would want to go through that. So you're going to stop fighting that. It's collectively bargained out. Everybody's agreed to it. It's 5 for 5. And you have these circumstances which both sides have agreed to are the medical redshirt parameters.
And
you can have one. You can't have 3 medical redshirts.
And the reason
you can have one.
They can't do it now is because all of the young men that are on their way out who didn't get 5 for 5, maybe they got 4 years or whatever, would then file a lawsuit. Oh, well, I want an extra year. Why can't I get it? Well, it wasn't but I want it now.
Well, they could if they just collectively bargained.
No,
it.
you said that.
And,
I'm saying
again,
right now they could not. They can't pass that right now.
No, they couldn't, but they could start negotiating now and get to it, and then maybe grandfather some people in, and then clear it out.
But this is the kind of thing that so much time is spent on just trying to figure out the damn rules.
Yeah,
like this is the only sport, and we love it. But this is part of the madness. Is I get that it's complicated. There's not 32 teams and 32 pro cities. There is hundreds of teams all over the place from Ames to Philadelphia. So it's a bit more complicated. And yes, they have CBAs and things like that. But this is what I go back to like yesterday is everybody says they want rules. And the moment you try to enact them, the people who said that suddenly say, oh, well, where's my advantage going? Or where's my in that I can take again, advantage of? I think I've seen some people, I don't know if it was Jeremiah Dickey or somebody else, who said, like, yeah, these guys don't want rules. They pretend like they do, but they don't want them. And the moment they get them, they break them because they need to win games. And so I think the fact that you're having to spend this much energy and time on even what is a red shirt, how many years is a red shirt, shows you just how broken the base and the foundation of the sport is as far as the ins and outs and the details of it all. And that's not to say that it's dying. It's not. That's not to say that it's the greatest thing ever, because it's clearly not. It's awesome, but it's just ridiculous that this is so simplistic, but it's the most complicated thing in the world for them to get anything done whatsoever. It's crazy.
Well, here's Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA. This is a quote from an article on the redshirt rule. Let me read through part of this. We've got people in court with us that want 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. We really do. I'm not kidding. My view on this is that unless we get to the point where everybody agrees to play by the same rules, Craig, Paul, this is important and useful, but it's not sufficient. The 5 years to play 4, 70% of the cases it's been in court have been successful. People then start talking 5 for 5, 6 for 6, 7 for 7. It doesn't matter if people aren't going to comply with the rules. 95% of the membership complies. Phone calls I get from coaches, ADs are pretty consistent. I don't like it when the judge ends up in front of a judge ends up in front of in what state they're determining whether somebody gets to play another year. That's not fair. I have a hard time arguing with that. I'm thrilled the coaches are thinking about this, but at the end of the day, whatever we do with the eligibility, everybody needs to sign off on. And right now, not everybody does. There's always going to be somebody trying to tweak that because they can. They can go to court and they can. And if they did collective bargaining, which God knows if that will ever happen, but I never thought athletes would get paid. I'm glad they are. And that eventually happened after being forced for that to become real. When we come back, Dan Wetzel, Zack Gelb around the corner. If you have not subscribed to 365 Sports, we would appreciate you doing that. Also, let's see. Tomorrow we'll have Sam Kahn. He, of course, specializes right now in the transfer portal. Max Olson as well, and a couple of other nuggets too. This is 365 Sports. It is the Baylor Club. I got something new from them. In fact, Nick Colwell, the general manager, sent this to me. Valentine's Day, guys, I'm talking to you. If you're in the area and you're a member of the Baylor Club, Valentine's Day is not far off. It's what, a month? It's February 14th. It's a month away. And right now they have a special Valentine's Day menu, and you can sign up for it now inside McLean Stadium. It's got all of what is included, including, how about this, floating candles, red uplighting, menu cards, rose petals, pink and red napkins, chocolate-covered strawberries, my goodness, romantic jazz music too. Book your February event by the end of February. Book your February Valentine's event by the end of January to receive Valentine's enhancements, private events available, bookings for any kind of banquets or luncheons and more. It's the Baylor Club with a new menu about to be unleashed and unveiled by the end of the month inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco.
Bold are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
At BK4, we step onto the field every day for our customers. Here, legends are born and glory is earned. The spirit of competition unites us all as we stand as one. It's more than a truck, it's a passion. Get ready for the thrill, the triumphs, and the unforgettable moments that only BK Ford can deliver. Are you ready to experience better? BK Ford.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This is 365 Sports.
Dan Wetzel with us, senior writer, and has been around covering college athletics and sports and Olympics, etc., all across the board. Joins us. It's been a while. Thank you, Dan, for being a part of it on 365 Sports. So today, about 2 hours ago or so, Dante Moore, who did not play well at all against Indiana, but who does, but he declared he's coming back for a year. Dylan Raiola has committed to go play there. But your thoughts about Moore, who would have most likely been a top 5 pick in the NFL draft?
Yeah, I actually wasn't surprised. Dante Moore and his family have always been very deliberate about his development and his career. He originally committed to UCLA so he could play for Chip Kelly. And UCLA really wasn't a great program, obviously. After a tough season of playing there and that whole team fell apart and Chip Kelly got fired, he was willing to go to Oregon last year and sit behind just to sit the season at basically a redshirt. He played a little, but he was a backup, and take that time to develop. Then he has this really good season. But as much as he would be, the second QB taken, or a lot of people thought that, he's only had 20 starts. He's only 20 years old. And so another year at Oregon, good development. And let's face it, this is one of the undeniable positives if you're a college football fan of revenue sharing and NIL and all of this stuff. He's going to make millions of dollars playing college ball. So it's not like he's, the old days when it was like, boy, I can, really help my family. He's already helped his family, and he'll be fine playing at this level for another year. So huge for the Ducks.
Dan, football is always a copycat thing. The NFL is the best example of that. But how much do you start seeing that now with the schools that have a corner on the high school recruiting, transfer portal market, and coaches and how they pay and distribute their funds? How much do you think schools like Indiana, Miami, Texas Tech will get copied now?
How do you mean?
The NFL is everybody wants to be in the Sean McVay universe for an offseason, or they copy the way that teams draft. Do you think that teams will start going we just have to do it like they do it as long as we can get the money?
I mean, I don't know that. I think everyone wants good players out of the portal. I don't know that, in terms of big money, it's not. Indiana isn't spending an extraordinary amount of money. It's really who you spend it on is more important than that. But I wouldn't consider Indiana to be a major player in that realm. But yeah, everyone's trying to raise money and spend money on players.
Dan, what's the craziest, portal move, or what's attracted your attention the most throughout portal season thus far?
Portapalooza, man. It's been fun. I wish it was February 1. I know that can't really work because kids got to actually enroll in college. The college part of college football gets problem. Gets in the way of everything. College got in the way of my college too. It's not just football. What was that? The craziest one, or just the most interesting?
Yeah, what's the most interesting?
Maybe the guy staying at Ole Miss and not heading to, there's a real belief LSU was going to raid Ole Miss, and that certainly has not happened. Cam Coleman going to Texas is certainly a big get for Arch, and Hollywood Smothers. I thought that was pretty big. I'm trying to think. I mean, a lot of it's just guys kind of shuffling about. The quarterbacks have moved. Georgia Tech got a great player, Justice Haynes, he was from Alabama, then was at Michigan, and he's going to Georgia Tech, and that's a really game-breaking talent there. So, I'm trying to think of a funnier one that's occurred. I did like the Hollywood Smothers, he started at Oklahoma, then he went to NC State, then he was going to go to Alabama, then I like this new term, the portal flip. So you're already flipping into the portal, and then you get flipped in the flip. And then he's at Texas, which is, of course, Oklahoma's our rival. So, kind of lot going on there. I don't know. I'd have to take a look at it. But a lot of teams are juicing up. I mean, you get a lot done right here. Indiana reloaded with a bunch of really good players. I don't know. And then, for all the hype that you're going to get on these different players, the biggest get last year in the portal was Ole Miss getting Trinidad Chambliss in March, and he was playing Division II ball. So you really never know what it's going to be, but there's certainly a lot of interesting moves.
How about the Damon Williams deal at Washington? Yeah. That it ended peacefully. It surely was very, very tense, but Darren Heitner got involved, and he's done this before, but it kind of had to look at the contract and went, hey, Damon, you aren't going to get any extra money because you're going to have to pay all of it back to whoever you go, back to Washington. How quickly that thing diffused.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You sign these contracts and you got to live by them. And sometimes they're favorable for the player and sometimes they're favorable for the school. And that one, as I understood it, had a clause in it that Washington could determine solely what the damages would be if you break the contract. Well, that is not a good, whoever signed that deal, you don't ever want to sign that contract.
Yep.
So he was pretty much linked. He was pretty much locked in, and they were going to make it so painful, both financially and in difficulty. So there was an example of a school being able to fight back. But I imagine there's some, I don't know, see how quick they all just shrug and forget about it these days. Say, yeah, whatever. You tried, team chemistry or whatever. Doesn't matter. That you tried to bail out or not. But he had a pretty good deal. He's a very, very good player, and he's been very good for Washington. And so Washington and Oregon keeping their QBs pretty interesting up there.
Dan, how is Miami in the national championship game and all these other quarterbacks have come and visited and gone other places?
Yeah, it's interesting. They do not have their guy yet. They do have gosh, I'm forgetting his name right off the top of my head, but they have he played some last year. Their backup,
Emory Williams is his name.
Yeah, that's it. Emory Williams. There's definitely some belief inside that program that Emory Williams would be perfect for them next year. There's other movement that I'm sure they will add somebody, but if none of the elite guys want to get in there, they're going to go with Emory Williams. Emory Williams is considered a viable replacement for Carson Beck.
Dan, if we had gone back to any point in time 5 years ago, 15, 20, 25 years ago, and told Dan Wetzel that Indiana football was going to win a national championship and beat the Miami Hurricanes in a 12-team playoff to do so, what would the reaction, do you think, have been for yourself to even think about that being a reality?
Yeah, it'd be pretty stunning. All this stuff had to happen. You knew they had gotten, an incredible coach, right? And then all this other stuff had to happen where they could build quickly. I would have thought, all right, maybe if it's like, they hit gold and you got a 6-year runway, you could maybe build something up with a 12-team playoff. You get hot, win some games. But I think with Indiana, obviously the speed. They were the losingest program in college football. They've gone 27-2 in 2 seasons. They're 15-0 right now. They won their playoff games by a combined 69 points. They have over 5 times as many. Their scoring margin is like, I don't know, whatever. They're beating teams by over 30 points in their scoring margin. I mean, the stats are incredible. I think they've rushed for 5 times as many yards as an opponent, or maybe it was 5 times as many first downs and over 3 times as much yardage in rushing the ball least penalized team, best in the red zone, like so many different things that just are dominating it right now. And so it's almost like if you had told me, hey, maybe they make the finals, yeah, but like they're the runaway, they're an 8.5 point favorite. That's the part that's even. This isn't an underdog. I said the other day, it was like, Hoosiers is the famous sports underdog movie from Indiana, and like they had to measure the rim. It's going to be just like back at our gym in Hickory and all this stuff. And these guys, I don't think they're scared of anything. They're just walking in, going, "Yeah, we're probably the better team," and it's Miami that's trying to pump themselves up that they can play with them.
Yeah, it is remarkable, and every little thing. There was a press conference, I guess, after the game last week when they won. They dominated, obviously, Oregon. When Mendoza was asked about pre-snap penalties, the crowd noise was in their favor, obviously, and that he said, "Yeah, when we were in Eugene, we had 5 or 6 pre-snap penalties, and Cignetti quickly said 7." And it just seemed like it's that little, every little thing he seems to see and get and pound the dirt with it. It is a fun story. It's a great story. Miami's a good story too, because Cristobal, could he manage the clock? Is he going to screw it up like he did in a game last year? Your thoughts about Carson Beck as well, rising to the occasion the way he has and trying to go out on a national championship note?
Yeah, I think Cristobal's improved as a game coach and improved. One of the interesting things about Cristobal was he was fired at FIU, and that was like 2012. And a lot of times, particularly in college football with coaches like that they don't get a second chance. And he obviously got to Alabama and worked under Saban, and that kind of did a big part of it. And he was able to get himself to Oregon and then back to Miami, his alma mater. But you can learn a lot through failure, which I think most people in life understand. It's just like we don't allow coaches to do that. And so I think he's gotten a lot better. He's obviously had some incredible in-game gaffes through the years, but not really an issue right now. And Carson Beck, he's had his moments, and he's won the games when you need to. The one thing about Miami that really interests me is they really haven't played a full, complete game or even a great game yet. I think they have another gear or two to hit. And, I thought they should have scored a lot more points against A&M. They should have did pretty well against Ohio State. They certainly should have they dominated that game against Mississippi and then had to win it in the end. But if they can put it together, and that includes a really big time game from Carson Beck, not just handing it off to Mark Fletcher, they're going to have a chance in this thing.
So the season wraps up on Monday, Dan, which means it's hand-wringing season all over the place about governance, about a 16 or 2014 playoff, about 5 for 5. What issue do you think they could actually solve, or at least for a little while, in the next couple of months?
Well, they could do a lot. They could certainly decide the playoff. I would just stick at 12. I haven't seen anything about this that suggests, boy, there's all these teams out there that need it. We have all these great teams that could win the championship. I would have loved to see Notre Dame in here this year, but I think we've kind of fixed that with the ACC tiebreaker, and there's some tweaks. But it's one of the reasons I'd like to see the 12 team go on for a few more years, at least 3-4 years, where you're then deciding, okay, let this cook. What did we learn from it? What are the unintended stuff? What are the unexpected stuff? Instead of just constantly trying to make huge alterations. A 24-team playoff to me is just ludicrous. It's just a complete change in the way the sport has ever been played, all for some more. The first round of the playoffs it's okay. Like half the games are good, half weren't. But it'll be even worse if we go to 24. Like who wants this other than the Big Ten that just kind of wants to have teams in there or something? I just don't get it at all. I don't know where the demand is from. I don't know who's excited about it. It's not going to save coaching jobs. Like if you get in and you're 8-4 in the Big Ten and you get in and then you get blown out in the first round, like does that make anybody feel any better about their season? I just don't get it or see it. So That would be terrible. They could certainly do all sorts of stuff with the schedule, move the high school recruiting back to February, some smaller obvious stuff that would solve a lot of, some of the jam ups. A lot of stuff that gets claimed to be a problem, I don't think is a problem. But there are things that could make the sport smoother, and schedule would be one of them.
Sorry about that. So there was for a very long time this SEC superiority narrative, and even as recently as just the last few weeks, you can still see remnants of that. But with a third straight year going by without a national champion, and really a pedestrian performance for a league that argued that they should have like 8 schools in the playoff when all is said and done, you have seen the media start to change the tune a bit. People that weren't pushing back against that, now pushing back against that. And you're seeing everybody kind of go, yeah, wait a second here. Do you think this actually amounts to any meaningful change as far as kind of how they are looked at? Or is this just going to pass, and next year we're still talking about why the SEC deserves to have their 9th place team in this, however many team playoff?
I think it started. I think, what was part of the Big Ten, middle of the Big Ten, undervalued, was part of the ACC, undervalued. Would a second Big 12 team have made more sense? I think the part where you're arguing, 7 teams and stuff, hopefully will kind of get laughed off. It's tricky, and this is the part about, I don't get why we're expanding the playoff. I mean, you can look, Notre Dame, I would have liked to seen in there. Absolutely. And, maybe if the ACC had a different tiebreaker, Miami would have won the ACC and Notre Dame would have been in. We don't need 2 group of 5. Maybe Duke, I actually thought Duke should have got in over James Madison, but everyone's like, they got 5 losses. Oh, they're still better than them. But, maybe next year it's, the look is, does Alabama just absolutely deserve to be in? Does Oklahoma just absolutely deserve to be in? And those two were 2 of the schools that, got the benefit of being SEC members. But if you peel it back, not necessarily Oklahoma, but certainly Alabama, is like, well, who did you beat? And it starts getting very circular. Well, we beat Vanderbilt, who beat Tennessee, who did this. And it's like, well, you're just going around in circles. Like, who did you defeat? This is an Alabama team that got crushed in the opener to Florida State and crushed in the end by Indiana. And so were they ever that good? It's tough though, because you really, it runs dry real quick when you're trying to get to 12 teams. If they're going to 16, you're going to see like 6, 7 SEC teams, just because there aren't that many other teams that should have got in. Like I don't. If we say, all right, the SEC was overrated, and instead of getting 5, they deserved what, 4, 3? Well, who are the 2 that would have got in? Like, there really wasn't a lot of great contenders out there. Iowa or something, like, I don't, like, there just wasn't. It's not like they just were sitting there going, oh, we're not taking all these 11-1 teams from the ACC that we don't like. So it's a little tough, but I think the days where everyone just genuflects to the SEC and says, look, they have the best teams. They did. They have the best success, but that isn't the case anymore. They're not as deep. They're not as good at the end. You can't draft off of just, well, look how good Alabama and Georgia are, so we came in, none of that stuff is there. It's a very competitive league. It's very even. I think they have more schools that are really, really trying, but they're certainly not the league that they once were.
Last thing, Dan, I saw you post, and so somebody else had posted. How about the video? And I love seeing these videos on Twitter of the Hershey Bears intermission game where kids are playing hockey and they're out there beating the hell out of each other on the ice.
Well, I don't know how much hockey guys play down there. But I was an 8-year-old hockey player once, and I would have loved that. I get, there's people like, it's the downfall of America, or like, those aren't real fights, man. They're fights, but you're punching with a glove into a helmet. It's, I mean, look,
It's just, yeah. Dan's response was he put up the American flag underneath his Twitter.
Hey, Dan, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if they're going to sit and watch with their dad or their mom, their parents, they're going to see a hockey fight in the NHL.
Yeah, there
it's
isn't enough
happen.
of it anymore.
Yeah.
There isn't enough of it anymore. There's barely any. So when I was a kid, I remember, I always say this because it's influenced how I ended up becoming a sports writer, which I wasn't expecting to be at the time, but I was a big Boston Bruins fan. We would watch all the games. There'd be a big brawl. Then they would have the real street. I mean, they would have some real bench clearing brawls, and there was way more fights then, and guys didn't have this shield on their face. So there was some brutal fights. And the story in the paper would be very scolding. Game marred by brawl, right? And I don't know. I'd get to 7th grade, 6th grade, and run down the hall and talk to my friends like, "Did you see the brawl?" We were all excited about the brawl. It didn't mar anything. It got us excited. Now, do I wish every person on this in the country was more the generation now is more I don't know what, grounded or better than me? Yes, but if I was 8 and I got out on an arena that thing's going to feel like Madison Square Garden. I mean, you're playing on with fans, and someone's got to get got. Let's go. That's being 8. Yep. I just can't call it the end of society. So I kind of applauded it. But I should be better. I should be better. I most certainly am not. I'm just not.
I loved it and appreciate you doing that. Dan, thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of the week. Will you be in Miami? You covering it there, or are you going to be watching from somewhere?
I'll be happy to watch at home.
Good.
I'm happy to watch at home. Yeah.
All right.
So thank you for having me.
Dan Wetzel with us with ESPN, joining us on 365 Sports. That video, I put it up in the chat room of those kids. And about 10 or 12 seconds into it, there's this scrum on the ice. The guys, and then all of a sudden, this guy comes flying in like the goaltender from the other side, just dives into the pile.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And look, if it was my 8-year-olds, I'd probably be like, oh, man, this is going to be a whole day. But it's not. So
no.
It was fun to watch.
So, yeah, I always love talking to Dan. He's one of my favorite, I think, listens and also guys to read their writing when it comes to college sports. I think he does an excellent job, as good as anybody. So cool to have him on the show occasionally and today to cover a lot of ground. We didn't get into this with him, and he does cover some basketball. He covers various things. But there's some basketball news in college that has some big picture ramifications. If y'all would like to discuss this here briefly, it's just coming down over the last hour or so. But the NCAA has announced that the transfer portal for men's and women's basketball will now open for a 15-day period the day after respective national championship games. Other details say in the release that the recommendations of the Men's and Women's Basketball Oversight Committee, the transfer windows and men's and women's basketball open for 15-day period day after the championship game for respective tournaments. Changes are effective immediately. When a head coaching change occurs, because that's another thing, right? That's another little curveball. A 15-day period will open 5 days after the new head coach is hired or publicly announced. So 15-day period, clock starts when the new coach is hired or announced, that they get those 5 days of a buffer to try and keep you there or what have you. If a new head coach is not announced within 30 days of the previous coach's departure, and the 31st day after the head coach's departure is after the championship game, this is where it starts to get off the rails, a 15-day window will open. So for an extremely long coaching search, then a 15-day window will eventually open at the end of the month. The additional head coach departure window is available only after the basketball transfer window opens through January 2nd. So that's a little bit more, I guess, complicated for me reading it.
Yeah.
The first part about the 15-day after the championship game, that's separate. And then the last part is in basketball, mid-year transfers are not eligible to compete at a second school if they enrolled at an NCAA school during the first academic term, regardless of whether they competed there.
Yeah, but they can come in at midterm if you're part of the G League, which is interesting. That makes sense if you're on somebody else's campus, and then all of a sudden you're playing basketball in January on somebody else's campus. Because you could really get into some tampering during that part.
Well, I think here's the best thing for this. If you're a college basketball fan, after the championship game ends, you play this game of, is my best player going in the transfer portal or the NBA or both simultaneously? Now at least you don't have to wait a whole month. Like it's, because the NBA draft rules are different. a lot of these guys do both because they can go to the camp in Chicago, the combine, and go through all of it, and then take their name out and go back. So because of that, if you are, if you've got a player that's in that realm, they also put their names in the transfer portal, even if they decide to go back to their other school, because heck, I may be at Kentucky and they may be paying a lot of money, but man, Duke has a lot of money as well. So why don't I just, sit out there and wait and see what happens and then cash in afterwards? And it's a lot of teeth grinding that fans have to do and coaches and all that. So shortens that up a little bit.
So basically the gist of it is 15-day portal opening after the national title game, the day after, 5-day wait for a portal entry after a new coach is hired, and mid-year transfers cannot play at another school the next semester, so they will be ineligible. So there's basically the gist of it.
Write it down. They did. Now, if everyone could play by the rules and not find some kind of loophole, it doesn't seem like there is one there, but I'm sure somebody will find it. Thank you, Craig. Coming up, Zack Gelb, who's now a part of 365 Sports. In fact, he's there with us. His show every day, every weekday from 1 until around 2:45 Central out of the Northeast. And Zack joins us. Great to see you. Great to have you as a part of our channel. And how's the first week gone? I know you had Matt Rule on today, and I heard he was pretty good, but how's it gone the first 3 days?
Yeah, no, I think the support has been great. The team with 365 Sports and Rogue Media Network have no complaints so far. I did work it into my contract, though, Smokey, and Paul told me I could break this to you. When we go to the Super Bowl together, you and Paul are going to be in the bunk beds, and I'm getting the master suite.
Let me tell you something, Zach. The client that will set us up, if in fact when that does get confirmed, is mine, and so is the big boy room. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm just saying, I was told you have it Monday and Tuesday. And then when I get into town, that hip replacement sponsor surgery that you have too, you may need it again.
Yeah. You're going to bring a couple of your guys with you. Oh, my God. It's great
you
to
know
see
what?
you.
I do not want to beat up an older guy. I will not do that to you.
No.
I will take the teeny tiny bed, and you have it used to be a fat guy in a little coat. You have a fat guy in a small bed.
Yeah, no. We will all have, I hope, and it appears, plenty of room and also have a great time in San Francisco.
Yeah. So, Zach, Dante Moore is staying at Oregon, which is, it doesn't guarantee he's not a New York Jet ever, but at least it guarantees he's not a New York Jet for another year. The dominoes, it doesn't make many NFL dominoes fall, but it makes, Oregon probably preseason number 1 next year, doesn't it?
I think the two interesting thing here right now, and let's see how the rest of this plays on out. And who cares about the preseason rankings? I know we talk about it, but for Dante Moore, I think it's better for his personal development. But with that being said, he may become a better player. Is he going to be that much better than the second overall pick in the draft? Because if he comes out of college and now he's going back to Oregon, we know that he would have been the second overall pick in the draft. So, could he get hurt this year? Could he regress this year? Those are all things on the table. For Oregon, it's a home run. And also, look at Dan Lanning. A few years ago, you had Dante Moore sitting. You had the final year of Dylan Gabriel. Then Moore takes over, seamless transition. Now Dylan Raiola's waiting. That's the other part of it, too. I know Raiola, and Smoak, you would know this because he texts me all the time during the Nebraska games. Raiola had the broken leg. So who knows if he would have been ready for the start of the season. But now you leave Nebraska to go to Oregon. I totally get it. But your intention is not to start this year. So I would have thought if Raiola was leaving Nebraska, he would have gone somewhere where he definitely would be starting right away.
Zach, I know the draft's still a little bit of a way, but this obviously shake things up with more kind of being figured into the mix now. And so you're looking at a number 2 quarterback with Ty Simpson, who is a first-round guy, but nowhere near like the number 2 overall pick. Does this change anything as far as like the Jets go? I mean, there's a lot of great players still there near the top. Was it guaranteed they were going to take a QB? How do you think this affects all that?
I think that if Dante Moore was there, he definitely would have been the second overall pick. Now, with him not being there, if the Jets take Trinidad Chambliss or Ty Simpson, Carson Beck, like whoever it may be with the second overall pick, I think they would be crazy. They have 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. So they have 2 this year. So maybe what they could do this year is they take the best player available at 2, which would not be a quarterback, and then do what the Giants did last year. The Giants had to trade up. They took Abdul Carter, and then they traded up to get Jackson Dart. Maybe the Jets take a quarterback at 16, which would be their second first-round pick this year, or they could wait next year where, if memory serves me right, they have the Colts, they have the Cowboys, and they have their own first-round pick. And if on your own first-round pick you're not there at 1, or maybe you could use the other picks to move up. But at this point, assuming that Mendoza goes 1, which I think everyone believes is going to be the case, I'm not picking a quarterback until 16 if I'm the Jets. Maybe you move up a few spots, or I would probably wait till next year.
All right. Miami, Indiana, Monday night. We won't talk to you again until, we'll see you Monday. We'll see you the next couple of days too. But the story of the team that is on fire, that has surprised everybody, but now does it week in and week out, and a team that's gotten hot. The win at A&M was not easy, but they got it done. The win at against Ole Miss was exhilarating. But your thoughts about Ohio State, about Miami and Indiana?
I just want to ask you a question here, Smokey, because you've been covering college football as good as anybody for a long time.
Thank you.
Have you ever seen a more impressive coaching job from the last 2 years, considering what the job is and what it was, than what Curt Cignetti has? Like, I've been trying to think about this. Like, historically, you could talk about Herb Brooks with the 1980 team, Miracle, but I'm just talking college football. Has there been a more impressive job over the last 2 years than what Cignetti has done at Indiana?
I think it took a little longer, but what Bill Snyder did at Kansas State is a once in a lifetime. And he did it again twice. The first one was unbelievable. They were the worst team in college football. So to me, but it's under different circumstances. But I would think the Bill Snyder rebuild is just something. I think not as fast, and he did not win a national title. 98 team lost in overtime in the Big 12 championship game. They would have played for the national title. But what Cignetti's done, considering they're the worst team of all time, all-time record, is just ridiculous.
And not only winning. Like last year, I thought was going to be the highlight of really the Cignetti run. They make the college football playoff. They lose to Notre Dame. This year, I probably just thought, all right, they lose anywhere between 2 to 4 games. They're undefeated, and they're in the college football playoff. He's the only coach in the history of the 12-team college football playoff. I know it's only 2 years to win a game coming off a bye. And not only did he win the game, he embarrassed Alabama. And then he follows it up by embarrassing Oregon. It's unbelievable. Like, it is weird to me that this is an 8.5-point spread with who Miami has beat, with Ole Miss, and then the game prior, it being Ohio State, the defending champs. But I feel like Vegas is begging me, absolutely begging me, to plus the 8.5 points. And right now I would lay it with Indiana. I think Indiana's going to win the game. I just can't pick against Fernando Mendoza and Curt Cignetti right now. And the way that ball was coming out of the hands of Mendoza up against Oregon, it was. I know we've been watching them all throughout the season. The Penn State play was unbelievable. It was a great catch too. But the way he was throwing the ball and the zip that it had up against that Oregon game with the whole world watching, it was some really neat stuff.
Bill Snyder was on our show one time years ago and told us that when he took over his first day, he noticed that none of the players were wearing Letterman jackets, gear, or anything.
Yeah.
It's how embarrassing it was to be a Kansas State football player. So none of the guys wanted to wear a T-shirt or a jacket that said Kansas State football, because even though they were big athletic jocks, they would get mercilessly teased on campus.
It's and like, look at to now make it into the year of 2026 with Cignetti. 3 years ago, I think it was a Michigan-Indiana game, and my two best friends went to Michigan. So for some reason, they just booked a random bar in New York City to go watch the game at. I think it was 3 years ago, and yeah, because Tom Allen was still the coach, and it was before Cignetti got there. And my buddy who booked the bar, we didn't know that this even existed. There's an Indiana football bar in New York City, and we're there, and we're with 20 people that are all rooting for Michigan. And the Indiana folks were going back and forth, and I'm somebody that, even though it wasn't my fight, I could talk a little smack. I go, aren't you guys a basketball school? You don't even care about football. And the last 2 years, they've been the hottest thing, in the sport. So just seeing those programs go from down and out to now on the mountaintop and on the verge of being on the mountaintop, it blows me away. And it just, every time you watch it, this story, whether you like Indiana or not, or like Cignetti or not, it just keeps on getting better and better.
Yeah, Zach, but they're only winning because they got a bunch of older players.
You could say that, and I'm assuming there's some sarcasm on
it.
Oh,
yeah, a lot of it, yeah.
But like, who gives a rat's ass?
Yep.
You win a championship, you win a championship. You know, like LSU, they had one of the most loaded teams ever a few years ago. They won the Warriors, when they won a championship with Kevin Durant. But what am I going to sit there and go, oh, it doesn't really count? They had too many great players and all that stuff. I don't care what age these guys are. Like, maybe not the guy that Baylor got that was off to the G League that I keep on hearing Smokey talk about. But like, I don't care how old these guys are. To do this at Indiana, it's surreal. It doesn't feel real. And if they're able to put the cherry on top of the sundae coming up on Monday night and they win the national championship, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a better story in the history of college football.
Yeah, I had no idea they had the massive fan base that they do. Like, I missed out on all the basketball fever. Always pegged them as like a basketball school and knew that, but didn't see the successes of it. Only really heard about those and had no clue that they were as massive of a school as they are. Obviously, you were a bit more familiar, but man, that pop of the crowd with the pick six to start the game is one of the loudest crowd pops I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it's not like the Oregon fan is nothing.
No.
Like, what happened last week, what was that, 90% of the fans? It felt
At
like
least.
it.
Yeah.
90% were Indiana, even at the Rose Bowl. And I know it's red, so it blends a little bit. But up against Alabama from the start, you can't judge it halfway through because the game was over by then. But at the start, it seemed like an Indiana home game in Pasadena.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 800 and some thousand living alumni, and the story of what they've done. And in the story about the corner Pons, who had the pick six and where he was in Florida. Paul, what's the name of the school Jeremiah Smith went to? Have you heard about this?
American Heritage?
I don't know. Well, in Florida. Yeah, it might have been. But he was covering him in practice. He's 5'9", and he was shutting down these blue chip wide receivers who were going all over the country. And everyone kept saying, you need to recruit this guy. One coach in a smaller school had a contact there, decided against him. And so guess where he ended up going? James Madison. Cignetti gave him a chance. And now he is an All-American defensive back and cornerback for the Hoosiers.
And it really changes. And I know we're a prisoner of the moment, but the expectation, right? College football used to be about development. Now it's about the transfer portal and go, go, go. A guy like Cignetti walks in first year at Indiana, then the college football playoff. It's a fluke, right? They're not going to be able to. No, they got better. So there's sometimes just special coaches. And he said it. I thought he Google me. I win.
Yeah,
and then he walked into the basketball game and talked about beating Ohio State and beating Michigan. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? He's the coach at Indiana, but he talked a big game. And not only did he talk a big game, he's now walking a big game.
So, Zach, I mean, Miami's a great story as well, but there's also the NFL coaching carousel that's now ongoing, fresh off the college coaching carousel. And the stunner, I guess, although not totally unexpected, but Mike Tomlin no longer with the Steelers, and you've got all these jobs that have opened up. I guess your reaction to the end of maybe a couple of eras in Pittsburgh the other night with Aaron Rodgers as well, but also what fascinates you most about what we could be seeing as far as some of these coaching moves and spots go?
Yeah, Rodgers, for me, it's about winning a Super Bowl. He had no chance to win a Super Bowl this year. Really, his last shot was the COVID year when Brady kept on turning the football over in the second half and they were at Lambeau Field and he couldn't take advantage of that. So the last few years, Rodgers has been playing. I know he won an MVP the following season after that Tampa Bay loss, and they ended up losing to the Niners in the playoff game. But the bottom line there is the career of Aaron Rodgers, for me, ended a few years ago, and I do think he'll retire. Maybe he tries to take another stab at Minnesota with McCarthy struggling because he wanted to go there before he landed in Pittsburgh. Tomlin did the Steelers a favor. They should have fired him last year. We're talking about Pittsburgh. They have not won a playoff game since the 2016 season. They've lost 7 in a row. They've had 6 straight one-and-dones. Tomlin's a heck of a coach, just like how Harbaugh is a heck of a coach. But it was time to end in Baltimore, and it was time to end in Pittsburgh. I think John Harbaugh is going to decide between the Giants and the Falcons. I know he has met today with the Giants, in the swamps of Jersey. Then is going to go from what I was reading, Tennessee and Atlanta. I don't know the order. I think it would ultimately come down to him. How great would it be if Tomlin went to the Ravens? But I don't think that's going to happen. But when you get with Harbaugh, I think it's either going to be the Giants or the Falcons. You could argue, and I would argue the Falcons right now are positioned to be in the better spot. But I ultimately just have a feeling that Harbaugh is going to be the next head football coach of the Giants.
I've heard the Titans might be in the mix there, or is that just if I'm him, I'm looking at quarter, he had a great one in Lamar Jackson, and which one do you like of Michael Penix, Cam Ward, and Jackson Dart is going to would be a big thing to me.
I like Cam Ward the best out of the three. But Dart was solid this year. He was good this year. And you have Malik Neighbors. And I know the Giants defense was god-awful, but they got some players there. And they should have been playing a whole lot better. Shane Bowen did a terrible job when you got Dexter Lawrence, when you got Brian Burns, you got Abdul Carter. He did not have a great rookie season. So I would say that Atlanta, though, if I'm Harbaugh, I'd take Atlanta. Easier division, 8-9, just won it. Sure, Penix is a wild card. But you got Bijan Robinson. They've invested in that defense. I would take Atlanta, but ultimately I think he's going to take the Giant job.
Zachariah, why don't we make sure everyone knows they can find you now? Again, I mentioned this off the top. You started this on Monday, 1 until 2:45 or so Central, right here on 365 Sports, and what you will bring. Obviously, Matt Rule earlier today, but also the other guests. We will be with you in San Francisco at the Super Bowl, but just overall what people will see with your show.
Yeah, so it's almost 2 hours of just passionate sports talk, compelling sports talk with some of the best industry guests. We were live on the air yesterday when Mike Tomlin resigned. Instantly, we had Bryant McFadden on the show. We had Drew Bledsoe on today, Matt Rule, like you said, Sean Merriman. Tomorrow, Sean Alexander is going to join us later in the week. I'll have an in-studio interview with the voice of the UFC, and he also did the Canelo Crawford fight in boxing in John Anik. So I'm going to give you a show that's a ton of football. We'll do other stuff too, but NFL and college football, 365 days out of the year, do drive the train. So I'm fired up. Big thanks to Corey Dickman, John Valade, Smokey, you and your team as well with Paul and Craig for welcoming me aboard. We'll do the 2-hour show each and every day. We'll have 4 awesome segments is pretty much how we aligned with it. And it's going to be fun to grow this. And you can subscribe, by the way, youtube.com/@Zack Gelb Show. And also, obviously, if you're watching here and you haven't done so yet, make sure you click the subscribe button to 365 Sports. You get me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, @Zack Gelb, and then TikTok, Smokey. I'll explain to you what TikTok is at a later date.
Yeah, please do.
At the Zack Gelb Show.
They keep telling me about this thing. Something it's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you in San Francisco, my friend. We'll see you tomorrow at 1:00 right here on this great channel, 365 Sports. Have a great rest of the evening.
You got it, guys. Be well. Appreciate it.
Zack Gelb with us, and that is a big deal to have him on. So from 1 until 2:45, and Garrett Ross does that one, and then what we do today and every day, Monday through Friday, we start at 3 and go until we decide to kind of say goodbye.
Yeah, never could have imagined that Zack would be on the team, just because he's doing his own thing, and opportunity presented itself. And so I think it's cool to have another show during the day that is part of the schedule on the YouTube channel, and something different, certainly something unique to him, and just gives you another option to hang around and support the channel as well. So please do that if you haven't already, although I know many and most of you have. But yeah, just adding a little something extra, and probably won't be the last thing we do along those lines of just adding more and more that we can, but didn't foresee that coming, but glad that it happened.
We met him. We met him. Thank you, Craig. Back when Matt Rule was hired at Baylor, he covered Rule a lot at Temple and kind of gave us some nuggets and came on with us a few times. And I think I told you the story earlier this year. Nebraska actually won a game that was pretty important. And Zach was in Lincoln to watch the game. I get a FaceTime on his number, and it's Matt Rule sitting in a chair at a post-game party. So they are very close, very tight, and we do appreciate him now being a part of what we do. By the way, we will come back. The Hall of Fame was announced, the college football class of 2026, and some names that will, rattle your cage, because a lot of them, of course, who have been close but not in, and then some great names that got in. We'll tell you about that. That's next. This is 365 Sports. What do I have here? I just went blank. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Sorry about that, Brandon. Loop 340, east of 84 in Waco. And that means I need to talk about Ted Teague, General Manager and CEO, and David Gray, who does a great job handling all of what they have on the lot when it comes to the great cars, trucks, SUVs, and also the pre-owned cars. The pre-owned cars is what I bought back in 2020. I've been thrilled with that. But right now, Central Texas, you have an opportunity, a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sahara, brand new, with a massive $9,000 off. Or grab a battle-ready 2025 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon, $12,000 off MSRP. How about this one? The 2026 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab, $12,000 off MSRP. Premium comfort, commanding power, and also you can choose 0% financing if you want, plus $7,500 off. The Ram trucks have been awarded, honored, however you want to put it, year after year with what they do and what they represent. The 2025 Ram 1500s, your last shot at them right now at Alan Samuels. It is Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 and east of 84 in Waco.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin. And you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
This is 365 Sports.
All right, I will be sending it to just Craig and Paul at the 5 o'clock hour. I've got a high school football banquet to host tonight at 6 o'clock, about 15 minutes away, and I got to change into a suit and get that done. But I wanted to do this before I left, and it's great news. These are the newest class of the College Football Hall of Fame. I'm going to name some players, a couple of guys that I covered back when they were much younger, and then we'll just chew on that a little bit. One, George Cumbie, former great linebacker at Oklahoma. He's from Tyler, played at a private school in Tyler. Marvin Harrison, Aaron Donald, Garrison Hurst, Mark Ingram, Herman Moore, Terrence Newman, and Dominican Sue, Kajana Carter, and there's others, including Utah's Eric Waddell and Chris Hudson, who played DB at Colorado. And then one of, Paul, your favorite players of all time in Peter Warrick at Florida State?
He might be, because he was there when I was there, my favorite Florida State player of all time. I don't know. It's tough. It's splitting hairs. But yeah, P-Dub was the man. People who didn't get to see Peter Warrick play in college, go back and look at his highlights. He was an absolute badass. But so were all those guys in that list. Ndamukong Suh, one of the biggest badasses I've ever seen. I was very, when I'm reading down the list, I was really excited that I've seen a ton of them play in person when they were in college. And I thought that was really cool. It also means I'm just getting old, that these guys are in the Hall of Fame now. But a really good list this year. If you can get out to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, I certainly recommend it. It's a super fun tour that you can do. You get like a badge. And so because they have so many people in, it's not like, the Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame has to create busts and stuff. They have these digital boards. And so you just go up and you type in a name and you see, it's Peter Warrick, it's Kajana Carter, it's whoever. It's really awesome.
Craig, your thoughts? It's a lot of names I ripped through, but obviously I know you love Ndamukong Suh, and your thoughts about some of those names.
Yeah, I know we can't stop down on each one of them, but you did rip through about 20 names there. It's a lot to kind of wrap your head
12,
around. So it's
good
to have a list up here for people to actually be able to see who's a part of this list. And yeah, there's a lot of super intriguing names. I think Peter Warrick's one of the cooler players that I watched growing up, who had a lot of people wanting to wear single digits, wear number 2, and was just a really
9. He was number 9.
9, excuse me, number 9. But yeah, had a lot of people wanting to wear number 9. I don't know who I'm thinking of with Derek Jeter, I guess. I don't know.
Deion Sanders.
Deion. Okay, that's who I was thinking of then. But yeah, the number 9, Eric Weddle was a really, really good player for Utah and a really solid pro as well.
Yeah,
a lot of these guys were great at both levels, but yeah, it's just like an all-star team basically. Different eras, different times of the game where it was a little bit different than when Terrence Newman played, than when somebody like Chris Hudson played or whatever. There's just a lot of ground to cover here and a lot of fan bases, and I'm just kind of sitting back and chewing on it. But yeah, James Laurinaitis,
absolutely
good for Road Warrior Animal's son. RIP Road Warrior Animal. But Laurinaitis certainly deserving. Jordan Lynch was such a great story when he was at Northern Illinois and one of the underdog type guys. T. New was incredible.
Terrence Newman, one of my favorite people I have ever covered in my life, as when he was with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, he was an absolute stud. And Ndamukong Suh, many, including myself, feel like he should have won a Heisman Trophy as a defender. And yeah, it just goes on and on and on. Aaron Donald, one of the greatest players of all time. It's a large class. It's a really large class, and we've only talked about the players, but it's a really impressive class, no doubt about it. And I'm assuming because you've got so many schools and so many years, you've got a lot of ground to cover, and you got to have big classes. But they could have broken this down into 4 different groups and had standing room only tickets for the banquet. If you really wanted to do something like that. So I don't know what the price of admission is, but for this list of folks, it's a good bang for your buck, I would imagine. Unless tickets are $1 million, which they're not, because this is star-studded.
This is normally they hold this, and I'm looking for it it could be in Vegas. It'll be December the 8th, 2026, and it is this is when the college football conference championship games have wrapped up, and there's a little bit of a break now, of course, with the playoff and much more. But that's when they go out to Vegas for 2 or 3 days, and this is probably the premier event of all of what goes on. Gary Patterson, former TCU head coach, who's now he's doing a podcast, and he is on the list. And did I see something where he was being looked at as someone like USC was looking at him as a defensive coordinator? And then also Chris Peterson at Boise State, Washington. He also is headed into the College Football Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's ironic.
Oh, I
Gary
know.
Patterson doing a podcast?
No, ironic.
No, doing the same class as Chris Peterson.
Peterson, and
well,
two interesting names in the history of the Baylor football team.
Yeah, I think last time I saw Gary Patterson, he was staring a hole through me at Baylor football practice, and maybe it was somebody behind me, but the only thing with that was it was the wall behind me. So I can only assume it was me. Maybe our little Twitter back and forth over the years, even though I've been blocked for 10. Literally 10 years at this point. He was a great coach. I don't really love anything else about him, but I can say he was a really great coach and probably still could be if he really wanted to be. And if somebody were to hire him, as you're saying, there's rumors that maybe that's in the works or something like that, then I think they've got a great football mind. Don't really appreciate his social media or care for his singing or how tough he thinks he is or whatever. But he is a great football coach. I can say that.
Yeah, he did. He took TCU to – they went an unbeaten team that beat Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl with Andy Dalton. And, of course, had 14 team with Baylor right on the edge of a playoff. He did a great job there. And then basically ran himself out. Just things changed, just like it happens sometimes. You're there too long.
Oh, I could see how that happened. Yeah.
I mean, you have a personality like his. You have to be winning, or nobody's going to put up with you. And even then,
I reached out to him the other day.
Yeah, and even then, it's not a guarantee, because we're also in the area where you can't hide anymore. Like, if you're a jackass to the people you work with or the people around you, it's not going to be a secret anymore. Like, it's just not. Like,
I don't know, and I don't know how much he was that. I just know, like, we had a stupid social media thing that happened like a decade plus ago, and it's just funny to bring it up. And then he ended up at Baylor, and I'm at a practice one day, and I swear he's just I don't, and I'm not somebody who's like, he knows who I am. Like, I don't think that at all. I think I could blend in probably better than anybody, but it just, because of that, when I was at practice that one day, and I just remember it vividly, just staring straight, and I'm like doing this thing, and I'm like, well, it must be me. So I'm just like, let's stare at each other, I guess, because I don't give a damn. I'm not one of your players that gets intimidated by anything. I'm a grown-ass man too. So I just didn't really ever get down with his tough guy kind of act he would put on. But he is a great football coach. I'm sure he's a great parent and friend and what all else comes with the total package. So yeah, no doubt deserving of the Hall of Fame, and a guy who I'm somewhat surprised. And I don't know, maybe it was the personality, maybe it was a lack of desire to, but I am surprised that we've gone without him having a more prominent job somewhere. But in this day and age, you can do media, you can do consulting, you can do any number of things and make a really good living for somebody with his experience. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's reached out, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he just keeps doing what he's doing and enjoys his Hall of Fame post-career.
And sometimes it's just the big personality and the grind and the way he does things that you just kind of wears on you. And then he got really conspiratorial there at the end. There's always. I mean, it was not really at the end. It was kind of always.
He became renowned for any time they had a significant loss. It was like always something that was it wasn't their fault. It was like the officials or the other team watched our practice.
He was good at deflecting something to take the eyeballs off of what happened on the field.
Yeah, for example, the Casey Paul thing, and all of his players start getting in trouble. He's like, well, it's nothing compared to what's down south of here. And while technically correct, you were absolutely going, well, what about them? And don't look over here. And when they lose a game, it was like, not about your quarterback sucked or your O-line didn't play well.
It was
about Ahmad Dixon did something. It's like, dude, come on. Like that. I didn't like that level of kind of pettiness.
Yeah.
And that's really what rubbed me the wrong way ultimately. But he is a heck of a coach. And this is a heck of a,
it's a great class.
Just the players alone. Kajana Carter's, a guy who I don't think gets brought up a lot these days, but I remember him vividly. He won the Heisman, right?
No,
no, he didn't. No. I'm thinking of somebody else. I don't know why I'm thinking of Kajana Carter won that, but he was incredible.
He was a great player.
Why did George Cumbie take 50 years to get into this Hall of Fame?
I don't know that. Again, sometimes you have those that get overlooked, but I do know this. I interviewed him a handful of times back. He's from TK Gorman High School in Tyler and was a freaking stud linebacker on those great 1970s Oklahoma teams.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took so long.
It is a great. I want to go back to Gary Patterson for a second. The SMU rushed the field to hurt Jerry Kill. When it was his own players.
There's always some BS, man. There's always some BS.
There's video no, it wasn't that. And he's like, nah, I saw what I saw. And so it's just it was always that. Chris Peterson, he was the part of the brains behind the Boise State explosion that they've had and being a team that you don't want to mess with. I don't want to drag him in this, so I'm not going to bring up, his connection to the Sam Mukawachu thing.
So you're doing it.
But
well, it's very ironic. Listen, Craig, I think you were talking. So you have Gary Patterson, of course, TCU, who obviously was pointing fingers. And then you have Chris Peterson, who was coaching a player who ended up setting off the 10,000 fire blaze when it comes to Baylor.
It's a longer story than we can get into. I said I don't want to drag it, but I don't want to. I basically don't want to get into it. But like every coach is complicated, I think, from that era in some way or another. So, but I think when you look at what they've done, I mean, Boise State, and then of course what he did at Washington, that they were so good they thought they could hire just a guy from his staff. That guy was the worst guy they could have possibly hired. He drove him right in the tank. So Chris Peterson was super valuable to everywhere he was as a coach.
He was a fantastic coach, though, no question. Of course, he was the part of that Boise State team that did the hook and lateral and all that Statue of Liberty and that win against Oklahoma, and then eventually to Washington.
He does a good job for Fox. I mean, he's a good analyst, and I think he's excellent. But I just think this is a really impressive class. I don't know how long the banquet is. I mean, there's like 25 guys to induct, but again, it's well worth the ticket price, I would imagine, and certainly you could pull out a program and get pretty cool signatures. I would think in an event like this with all the star-studded names that they have. So what a class for the Hall of Fame. And I didn't get a chance to go check it out in person when we were in Atlanta, but walked by it about 10 times. And the one day I did have time to go, it was closed, unfortunately. But eventually I will make my way out there and take that all in because it looks like a really cool facility.
It is incredible.
Obviously, you do this every day. You love college football, so I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, it'd be a great event in Vegas, just to go to Vegas. But that would be a great event to do a show outside of whatever might be the ballroom. And would that not be amazing? So, and I have a good connection with the NFF because of some things they did with us earlier in the year promoting them. So there we are, the college football class of 2026, some amazing names, and I'm thrilled, obviously, with the Terrence Newman, the former Kansas State cornerback, and punt returner. When we come back, the 5 o'clock hour around the corner, of course, as well, the polls, the quizzes, the wheel, and more. And this is 365 Sports. Bandon, just go to a break. Go ahead and go straight.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics, and whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
What does being different mean to me? You know, that is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
This is the Sonos Arc Ultra, and this is what you need to know about. It represents one of the easiest ways to get into high-quality home cinema without loads of cables and faffing around. And that's because the Arc Ultra provides full Dolby Atmos without any rear speakers thanks to its sound motion technology. And Sonos is actually calling sound motion one of the most significant breakthroughs in audio engineering in nearly 100 years. It's an amazing setup, it sounds absolutely fantastic, I love the absence of fat. If you're a Sonos person, there's a reason you're watching this video.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is 365 Sports.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul and Craig. And Craig, there was one transfer portal note we did not get to, and I'm very curious your thoughts on this, but Baylor kicker Connor Hawkins, who is the most consistent kicker they've had in quite a long time, has decided to enter the transfer portal. And you know, they've had a lot of good news with DJ Lagway and the receivers and some of the guys coming in this last week, but this is a hit for Baylor because it's been very hard for them through several coaches to find consistent kickers.
All right, first of all, it's Wednesday, January 14th, 5:07 Central. Has DJ Lagway signed yet?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't
okay,
think
man.
So. Yeah.
Okay, like every day that goes by, it makes you wonder, like, what the holdup is with this whole thing. And I understand that not every piece of paper can be signed, I guess, by now, or whatever the normal expected hangups might be. But like, at what point, like, what do we need to get to Friday and people go like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah,
because tomorrow's Thursday.
He can still go somewhere after. Friday's just the day to enter.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, he's in the portal. We know that.
So,
I mean, he can do whatever he wants to. I'm talking about signing with Baylor and making it official. Like, I mean, Sam Levitt's going to LSU. We don't doubt that.
Yeah.
All the other quarterback moves that have been made, they're hard to keep track of it. Like Dylan Raiola, even in light of there being this Dante Moore return announcement, Dylan Raiola's already let it be known, hey, I'm still coming anyways. I don't care. I'm still going to be at Oregon. DJ Lagway last week's committed. This week he's still committed, but I don't know. It's kind of, is it not weird? Is it not weird that he's not like outwardly put out a graphic?
And there are big schools that don't have them still.
Right. So is he waiting for the Miami season to wrap up is all I wonder about. But yeah, I mean, this is just something I had to say before we go here because it's going to be Thursday tomorrow. And so we're looking at another almost full entire week since a commitment where the commitment has been made, but it's not officially official. And I don't know how long that should take under normal circumstances because I don't seem to notice a situation like it anywhere else in the country where a quarterback's committed, but he's like, oh, I'm still taking visits and stuff, but I'm committed though. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We know where everybody's going who's made a decision, and those who haven't. And there's only one guy who's made one, but he's still looking around. So it's weird. But Connor Hawkins, that's a loss for Baylor. He was very good last year. And I don't know, it's not a guy that you anticipated being someone who would be jumping into the portal or would be some kind of a significant loss or something, but he is. And so as a freshman last year, coming out of Liberty Hill, 81.8%, 18 of 22. He was perfect from 30 and under, perfect from 40 and under, 5 of 8 from 40 to 49. He was 3 of 4 from 50 plus, including a long of 54, 37 for 37 extra points made. So he was great. And the year prior, only had a couple of opportunities, had a handful of extra points. So this was the year where we really saw him out there and doing his thing. And clearly it was good enough, Paul, that other people said, hey, Connor Hawkins, would you be interested in coming to, I don't know, insert blank Columbus or Austin or, well, they typically have kickers down there.
Look, they already got theirs. They won from Memphis.
They've usually always got a guy or they've already got a guy in this cycle, but kickers can go make money too, I guess, is the lesson learned here. And man, when you watch what's going on in the NFL, you look at even, which game was it last week where, Ole Miss with their win the week prior. I mean,
the Packers didn't win because of kicking.
Right, but I'm saying Ole Miss's kicker the week before, him being able to kick a couple long kicks was at the heart of their upset there, being able to put points on the board. So to have a really good kicker, I feel like is super valuable in college football. And it's not always an area where people really seem to care all that much, although I think they care more now than they did even like 10 years ago. So, yeah, I don't know what the going rate is for somebody like Connor Hawkins in the transfer portal, but I'm imagining he's going to get some money and end up in a really good spot. And again, I'm not sure what you thought as a Baylor person, if you ever felt like you needed to worry about Connor Hawkins not being in the mix or perhaps moving on. But they do have, what is it, Red Armstrong, right? The young guy who is from Colorado that's very good as well. So he's got a big leg. I don't think you're sweating it too much, but it's more or less like it's just like, damn, him too? Like he's gone as well? Like what the hell?
You don't know until they're between – the hash marks there, right? And kicking the ball. I've said this many times. I asked Gil Brandt, the former Cowboys genius of player personnel, built the Tom Landry Cowboys, and nobody. I mean, he essentially built the draft as it stands right now. Nobody was as good of an evaluator as Gil Brandt, and nobody may ever be as good an evaluator as Gil Brandt. He was the groundbreaker of it, and I said, this is not like I understand there being bad kickers when kicking was like new to football, but it's not a new thing. I said, why are there so many like bad kickers and punters? Why is it the hardest thing to find, especially, high school to college and all that? And he said that it's really hard because it's the most nerve-wracking position because you have one thing to do. And so you have to have it between the ears. You have to be able to shut it down. And he told me a story about a punter he signed out of like Slippery Rock University that he said, I went and scouted him and every kick was 50 yards, even into the wind. Like it was just crazy. He's like, we had an exhibition game against Pittsburgh. He kept kicking him out of bounds because he was nervous. So it's a lot. It's a hard thing to do. Kicking is just so difficult. So when you lose one that's reliable, maybe you have one that you like, but again, until he's done it in a game, you're going to be nervous about it.
Yeah, so I think there's some of the reaction that I saw is, well, we got Red Armstrong, so we'll be fine. So maybe this isn't an ultimately like really big loss, although what could be versus what actually was, I'm always hesitant about because we always pump up the what could be because we want it to be better, as good, if not greater, and we try to convince ourselves with that. But Red Armstrong was the number 1 rated kicker a year ago. They've got him, so they're fine. But again, I think it's more or less you just like, damn, another transfer. And maybe not one you were expecting, but the early favorite based on just social media response that I saw earlier is Ohio State, who desperately needs a kicker. And here's a guy who was pretty good. So wouldn't shock me at all if Connor Hawkins ends up at Ohio State or somewhere along those lines. And if he does, and if there was maybe this competition thing with Red Armstrong, something had to give there, then it works out well for everybody, I would imagine. But I'm not sure what the total is to yet, but it's been a mass exodus type of offseason for Dave Aranda, and you kind of expected that. And when you were as bad as you were last year, that's not the worst thing in the world. But I do feel like on individual case-by-case basis, you can say, well, you don't want to bring all these guys back from a team that wasn't very good. It's like, yeah, but you'd still like to have Bryson Washington specifically if you could have him. And you'd like to have this guy or that guy. If Red Armstrong turns out to be as good as advertised, then they won't miss Connor Hawkins much. But good luck to him. And he was really good last year in a year where there wasn't a lot of bright spots.
They are at an 11-player deficit right now. They've had 19 in and 30 out. Yeah. So, and sometimes, that's just, you might have a bigger high school class. You might have, I don't know. It's 105 people on the roster. So maximum. So we'll see what that is. But they've had 30 transfers out so far. And he is one of those 30, Connor Hawkins. So, it's, and again, I don't think, like you said, they've got a good kicker, but yeah, look, if you're a consistent kicker, maybe you don't have to be like the dude at Ole Miss that can kick them from almost 60, but if you can make from, 45 in college regularly and not miss your extra points, you're valuable, very valuable, because college kickers are, as we know, an adventure. So he'll get a good deal somewhere. When we come back, the wheel In the trivia and the poll questions, we do not have a top 5 today. We were without internet for about 2 hours and 20 minutes today. It was a long time. We didn't have internet in the building, so we didn't have time to shoot the top 5 because normally when we shoot it, it's during those 2 hours and 20 minutes, and we had to use that time to get at all of our first stuff for the first segment of the show because we lost all that time due to no internet. So no top 5 today, but we will have the wheel coming up right after this.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
This is Richard Carr, and it's hard to believe, but 2025 marks our 26th year in the car business. I want to thank you for your support over the last 26 years. As a locally owned business, our customers in Central Texas community are also friends and neighbors. If you haven't been by lately, I invite you to come in and experience our amazing lineup of Buick, GMC, and Cadillac vehicles. Our goal is to make you feel like more than just a customer, but as a valued neighbor. Let us show you why we are people you can count on at Richard Carr, Buick, GMC, Cadillac.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Have you heard of the new IRA? The new IRA, Insured Retirement Advantage, is a solution for high-income individuals and business owners who want to grow and protect their wealth without locking up capital or taking unnecessary risks. If you're an asset manager or a licensed insurance agent looking to provide your clients with guaranteed tax-free retirement income and legacy protection, the new IRA Insured Retirement Advantage is an option you need to know more about and is only available exclusively from North Star Funding Partners. For more information, go to northstarfundingpartners.com and tell them 365 Sports sent you.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
This is 365 Sports.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Okay. Something just fell off and hit me. Okie dokie. On the wheel. Have you gotten an Amazon drone delivery, and does stuff like that make the future sound exciting?
I have not. Where my place is located, I'm not even sure if I can, to be just talking out loud about this. I don't even know if I can get it. It sounds cool enough. It's also kind of weird at the same time. Technology really is moving along at a rapid pace. AI is clearly taking over pretty much everything now at this point and is being sold as it's going to be the end-all, be-all for better and worse moving forward. But no, I to answer the question, I have not had an Amazon drone delivery. I don't know that I'll get one, but it both excites and frightens me, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I have not gotten one. I had the option to select it and haven't, because it doesn't excite me about the future. I mean, like, I guess it's cool, but it doesn't. I love technology. I love all of it. I love that we're almost living in the Jetsons. Like, that's great, but there's got to be a line that we stop at. To me,
I don't feel like there is, unfortunately, for a lot of people, that they can't even respond to a question without asking Grok about how they should respond to a question. Like, I have a real fear for people who can't even wipe their ass without asking AI the proper way to do it, kind of people out there. And I'm seeing people who are smart enough, but it's just so easy. And there's such a level of laziness of, like, I don't know, there's some cool things that AI can do. Like, how should I pack this bag? You could actually maybe get like a tip or two, even though you don't really need it, but there might be like a shortcut. But the folks who rely on it to literally function their life for them, I have a real concern for those people.
Have you heard about the AI recipes that are a problem?
No.
So what people are doing is they go to AI and they'll say, hey, Grok, hey, ChatGPT, hey, whoever, how do I make, give me a good, pasta dish? And what AI does is it aggregates information. So it takes 1,000 different recipes and
it's wrong about stuff all the time.
Gets the common things, and then people make it and they're like, oh, this tastes like shit. And you're like, yeah, because you asked a computer who cannot cook. It cannot, one thing that AI so far can't do, especially that AI, is boil water and crack eggs and all the other things that you need to do to cook. So they have no idea. They don't know what things taste like. They just know what people have reported them to taste like to it. So they have these recipes that are all a hodgepodge of things, when just go buy a cookbook with an old lady on it and read it.
I watched a video just the other day, and it was insane to me how many views it had. And it was really scary because the person reading this had no opinion of any sort. They were not shedding any light in any way and coming up with an original thought. They were literally just reading an AI recap about a team that is very popular, that if you just mention them, thousands show up, right? And this person was almost looked like they were going to start laughing. And I felt like they were laughing because they're like, I can't believe people are watching me just read this AI summation as though I'm actually talking here. It was so clear what they were doing. It's you see the eyes moving and you listen to the words, and it's the most generic thing I've ever heard. And there's 25,000 views for it. I'm like, oh my God, we are so screwed. We are so unbelievably screwed. It blew my mind, because what's frightening me is how people don't see through a lot of it. They're just wow, that was great. That was a great song. It's no, it wasn't. It was just reading AI, and this is really way too popular for what that was. And I just don't know what the future holds. There's some really cool stuff happening, but it's also just the brain rot is very real.
Yeah.
Very real.
As a person who Like, I'm not a person who believes, like, there's all the people who thought I Am Legend was real during COVID. Like, that's how, like, it's going to happen, the zombie apocalypse. I'm not that guy. But I do, like, when I watch a movie like The Terminator, like that, like, it maybe not to that level, but, like, that's a very real thing that could happen where we become so dependent on machines they just turn on us.
It's always possible. They've been warning about that for decades and decades and decades. So, yeah, I mean, it's a crazy world out there right now, and you can use it for good, but there's also a lot of bad people that can use it for a lot of bad, and that's always my fear, and you just hope that hope it doesn't come to any scary super situation. But, yeah, there's – as much good as there is, there's also the bad that comes with that. And with something that you can't really control, that's kind of scary that could just roll into eventually.
Yeah, there is an actual company out there called Skynet too, which really makes me scared. Which classic rock band helped fund Lithuania's men's basketball team at the 92 Olympics? The Stones, the Eagles, Led Zeppelin, or the Grateful Dead? Andrew Valade is a diehard Grateful Dead fan. Mm-hmm. I don't know the answer to this question, and it very well could be any of them. But knowing Andrew as I do, and his father, John, who are diehard, he was in here on Monday wearing a Grateful Dead shirt. I'm going to say, through context clues of just knowing Andrew, that this is the Grateful Dead. Do you support me in that, Craig?
Yeah, although the next time it won't be, because now he'll use it as as a distraction. I'm sorry to hear about Bob Weir, by the way. Are you doing okay over there? I mean, that's a big loss for the Deadhead community, and truly a legend and a pioneer. And saw Mr. Valade earlier as well. Should have said something to him then. But yeah, that was y'all are some of the first people I thought of. Actually, it was like, oh man, I bet they're bummed out about the Bob Weir news. But yeah, I'd say Grateful Dead. Not sure of that I've ever heard this story before. I don't think, but. Yeah, for your reasoning and the Valade's love of the Dead, let's go with them.
I just don't think the Stones know anything about basketball. Yes, there we go.
I don't think the Stones are too worried about Lithuania basketball.
I don't think they know anything about basketball.
Chicks, drugs, like so many music, so many other things to be worried about.
I just couldn't imagine like Keith Richards being like, "Look, man, we got to have these basketball players from Lithuania." Right there, okay?
No.
After Lithuania gained independence from the USSR in 1991, the team had no funding to reach the 92 Olympics. After hearing about their plight, the Grateful Dead sent the team a box of tie-dye jerseys and a check to cover their expenses. The Slammin' Skeleton jersey became a global sensation, and the team, dubbed the Other Dream Team, went on to win the bronze medal, and Lithuania had some badass dudes that went on to play in the NBA. So
I think that's a brand new story to me. I don't recall ever hearing that background on that, but that's very, very cool. And I don't know if I ever even watched Lithuania back then. I mean, that was a dream team in 92. So no, not sure if I caught eyes on them, but that's a really cool story. And hopefully others are cool with learning some of this stuff along the way as well.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look up some of the names. Arvydas Sabonis was on that team.
Yeah, good player. Yeah.
Arvydas Sabonis was on that team. Which NBA superstar was absent in the original NBA Jam because he owned his likeness rights?
MJ.
Yeah, I think this is Michael Jordan.
If I'm wrong, I'm way wrong, but it's MJ. Yeah. MJ opted out of the NBA PA's group licensing in 92 to control his brand and Nike deal, forcing devs to negotiate directly, hence his absence from NBA Jam and NBA Live 95. Some games use generic bald 6'6" Bulls guard with max stats instead. About 50 limited edition NBA Jam cabinets reportedly included both Jordan and also absent Gary Payton. Yeah, I remember that because that was the first guy that anybody would want to play with on NBA Jam back then. And you go to the Bulls and it's like Scottie Pippen's there, but where's Mike?
Yeah.
And he's not on there. And I don't know if it was NBA Live 95, but it might have been where it's like, how are these NBA games? There's no Michael Jordan to play with. Like, was it too unfair that he was so much better?
Yeah. Bo Jackson and Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. He can't even play with the best dude. So yeah, I always found that sort of strange. I knew that one right away because I had my frustrations with that as a kid.
Okay, let's go to the poll questions. Is playing for 7 college football teams too much for a student athlete? 11% said yes. Surprisingly enough, I thought this would be even more of a runaway, but 89% yes, it's insanity. I'm in that camp. Craig's in that camp. I think, is everybody in the room in that camp? Yes, it's insanity.
I think it's insanity, and I don't know if the 11% are just trolling, just trying to take the other side just for the sake of doing so, or really believe that. But I would hope it's the first two, and not that you really believe that it's let him play. I just think it's so silly. And sure, if I wanted to, I could go to college for 20 years in a row. I could go for college as long as I want to. Well, so can he. Just doesn't mean he has to be able to play football the entire time. So it would be one thing, guys. Would you agree with this? If you had 7 years, you had a couple of injuries, and that's what he had to some degree, among other incidents. But if you had played for like two teams, you go, okay, like you were at one place for like 4 years, and then you went over here and you got hurt, and then you played a year, and then you got hurt at the year. Like that would be one thing. It's 7-7, like the drink. I mean, that's what's so absurd about it, that you would even have this number of years of eligibility, much less to use them to move around to 7 different teams, not all of your own doing, by the way, like Tulane, because that was the car incident. But that's what's so just dumb to me about the whole story is the number of schools. And yes, the years to a lesser extent, but I have nothing against him, but I just feel like this is the poster child example this week, at least, of why you need rules and why you need to figure out a way to get rules. And none of this, well, let's tell Dellinger some more stuff about how chaotic it is, and let's talk about how chaotic it is. Yeah, we know it's chaotic. Fix it. That's all anybody's waiting on. But instead, we got guys going to 7 schools in 7 years talking about the NFL dream. Like, give me an effing break, dude.
Yeah.
The NFL dream is not going to be solved by you going to Incarnate Word. I'm sorry to tell you that. But anyways, I don't want to keep railing on him because he might be like the nicest guy in the world.
Look, the 26-year-old drafty quarterback is a rare thing.
So tell me about your loyalty.
Yeah.
Let's start with the first school 4 hours later. So then I went to Incarnate Word in year 7. Like
I would say, what comes your way when you deal with adversity? I move. Moving, which is a pain in the ass, is easier to me than winning a job.
When I was talking about this earlier, too, I don't know if I got one of the schools mixed up, but I think it was the last one. I know he had an ankle injury. I guess it was 2024. But I'm almost positive it was the last one, whichever one that is at this point, where, like 7 games in, they were 1-6. And he said something in the Louisiana newspaper article I read about like the system or something. Like, dude, you're 1-6 and you're in year 6 at school 6. Like, it's not the system.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. Eventually it's you. It's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why can't I stay married? Why do all these cranky women marry me? You're like,
Right.
Maybe you make people cranky.
I can't believe I've been married 6 times. It's silly.
Yeah. How do you view Mike Tomlin Steelers' legacy? 45% say all-time Hall of Famer. Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I absolutely do. 19 years, never had a losing record, won a Super Bowl, played in another one. Yeah, great but overstayed. I don't think he overstayed. Underachieved in the playoffs. Man, he won a Super Bowl maybe lately, but once Ben Roethlisberger was at the end, like it's hard to find a quarterback. It's especially hard to find a quarterback when you're actually as good of a coach as Mike Tomlin is, because they're never drafting where the highest percentage of quarterbacks that hit are, like they were when they picked Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, I definitely don't think he's just an average coach. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I do think he's a Hall of Famer. Not like in the argument for the GOAT by any means, but certainly a very solid career that's not over yet. I think he'll be coaching somewhere else after a year in the broadcast booth or in the Fox studios or something along those lines. And I can understand at least the sentiment of underachieving the playoffs if you've had so many cracks at something and you walk away with like a title after having 20 shots at it. I mean, that's frustrating. You also have to remember, though, he ran into 2 very distinct time periods, the Chiefs and the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he ran into in the playoffs more often than not. And then the others that were great in any given year. But yeah, he had to contend with a dynasty in New England, followed by a smaller but still ongoing in development, a type of dynastic run in Kansas City. So that prevented him getting from 1 to 2, 3, 4 Super Bowls like he maybe might have otherwise. But I'll go with the all-time Hall of Famer. And then the overstayed, I think he actually picked just right. I mean, you gave one last run with Aaron Rodgers.
They made the playoffs.
You made the playoffs. You won the division. The last game absolutely sucked, but you've now with the Rodgers experiment, it's like you've run your course completely. There's no, let's go draft a guy. It's like, no, we don't need to do that. There's no, let's go get this veteran next year. Let's bring A-Rod back. No, I mean, there's no more tread on the tires in Pittsburgh. It was time to move on, and I think everybody could kind of amicably go their separate ways, and I think it worked out well. So, yeah, all-time Hall of Famer for me.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. That's going to do it for us. Tomorrow, we've got Sam Kahn and others. This is 365 Sports. Have a great night, everybody.